Hello and welcome to another episode of Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
And I'm Corey Baumeister.
And we've got Rob in the booth. Say hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
Rob will be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat. Make sure to tag at Star City Games so he can see them and send his favorites over to us. It is Cascade Day here on Versus Live. A lot of Shardless agents around last weekend in the various Modern tournaments that were held. We had 2 Modern challenges, a Modern Super Qualifier and MTGO, as well as the Hunter Burton Memorial Open. So a ton of high-level Modern being played and a lot of Shardless agents doing well. And really, it's 2 different archetypes of deck here. We've got Living End and also Crashcade decks, which come in sort of teamer and 4-color varieties.
Yep.
But they're very close. The 4-color splash is very light, generally just for Teferi.
I think it's just Teferi. You know, I mean, some may be trying to play Prismatic Ending if they're trying to get cute, but for the most part, it's just Teferi.
Prismatic Ending with Cascade.
That's a good point. So that'd be really cute.
Yeah, they used to try to play Ardent Fleet to have more Cascade cards. They don't usually do that anymore. So it's down to really just Teferi off that spot.
Yeah, and Teferi is just that good at dealing with the Cascade decks. It's still really good against Murktide as well. Like, Teferi's stock has went up a lot. You know, it used to be like a 1 or a 2 of that these really aggressive Modern decks would just fight through really easily. And it was like good in situational matchups, you know, pretty bad against Hammer, stuff like that. But now it's just actually good against the big decks, and it's making a lot bigger impact.
Yep. So a worthy splash if that's the route you want to go. Your mana base gets a little worse. Your deck gets a little more powerful. You know, typical trade-off. But really very similar decks there on that side of things. And so today we're going to try to see which one of these 2 variants of Cascade decks that we like better. So we're going to start with playing a match with Crashcade. It's going to be Corey's going to be playing that deck. I'll be playing Living End a little later in the show.
Yep.
And I'm going to start off by playing a little Grixis Death Shadow. This is Aspiring Spike's latest creation that he took to the top 8 of the Hunter Burton event.
Yep.
Which is a large 2-day tournament. So impressive finish there, and he's been doing well with it online as well. The really cool addition here is Dress Down, as a card that lets you do a couple things. One, it sort of acts as your Teamer Battle Rage because you can just turn Death Shadow into 13/13. It gets rid of the ability that shrinks its power and toughness, but it also gets rid of that ability of Kroxa. So a lot of the times you'll have a Death Shadow out and you'll end to turn the Dress Down because it doesn't sacrifice for the next end step. Untap, get your 13-point attack in, cast a Kroxa from your hand. It won't get sacrificed because it doesn't have that ability anymore.
You won't get the trigger as well, but it's still a decent trade-off.
You'll just get a 2-mana 6/6 that whenever it attacks, they discard a card.
They lose the game and get slapped in the face. Yeah.
I mean, 2-mana 6/6 is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty average. I mean, I don't know what you were doing on your Jim Davis show last week, but we were casting good old Kurt Aves and Watchwolves on our show.
I was winning matches.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do much of that. Jim broke my streak, so I'm just thankful that you're back, buddy. I just needed another win, so it's good to have you back.
That I have the marbles. It had been about 6 years.
Who took our marbles? Oh, there they are. They're back there. Yeah, okay.
Are the marbles in the shot, Rob? I had no idea. I feel like they redesigned the room because I don't know if it had just been so long, but after I won them on Thursday from Jim, I went to put them back on my side, and I was like, I don't know where they go. I literally couldn't remember.
I'm not sure what to use with my hands.
Exactly. Like it all looks so unfamiliar.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they redesigned it or I'm an idiot. I generally err towards the latter.
Of course. I mean, we should take a poll.
The truth is, I'm just messing with Ross, and I've moved the marbles 6 times. But
I like it. We should really start a poll. Be like, do we think we moved the room around, or is Ross indeed an idiot? Start the poll. We'll see what the result is.
We'll announce the results at the end of the show.
Is that really a poll? More, it's always just yes. Like there's one option. I don't know.
Yeah. Fair.
But some really cool stuff you get to do with Dress Down. Also, just another card that works with Luris to draw cards every turn.
Yep.
So eventually sacrifices. So.
And you know what else? Like I absolutely loved playing this deck. Just late last night, I was playing just a league or 2 and just having a blast. Loved it so much, I just bought the deck. I was having so much fun, and the match that got me on it, I was playing the Modern Challenge winning deck with the Urza deck that I was showing you earlier. I was having a blast with that, and I was just, kind of going off, destroying my Grixis Shadow opponent, destroying him, okay? I'm attacking with 2 Constructs. I'm getting in there. I just made a 3rd one with Urza. They played this card called Dress Down against Constructs. They die. Are you kidding me? It kills Urza Saga token. I think Dress Down is insane.
Yeah, really good bit of tech there. So we're essentially going to play, the Crash Gate deck against one of the top decks that we think of the metagame, and that's Grixis Shadow. The second round, we're going to see myself on Living End against another top deck. It's going to be a little Is It mid-range.
Yes.
And then we're going to play the two Cascade decks against each other in the final match.
Yeah.
And really get an idea for who's advantaged in that kind of pseudo mirror.
Yeah.
So a lot of cascading to do today. Hopefully we cascade into the right cards.
Well, I have one option, so I'm gonna. Yeah.
It's hard not to. When you play the deck
that's
correctly,
true.
As long as you don't put Prismatic Ending in your Cascade deck.
Yeah, that's true. It's the old Brazen Borrower into your Jeskai Luca deck. Be like, this could be a good card. And be like, oh yeah, you cascaded 2 runs, and it's like, yes.
So
all right.
It does mean you will be on the play here.
Okay.
Game 1. Important for Cascade decks since turn 3 is such an important turn for them.
All right.
You draw a lot of Gemstone Caverns.
Okay. Yeah, this is a keeper for me. I know you have a lot of hand disruption, so I already am pretty incentivized into just keeping open hands, but this hand is perfectly fine.
I will keep as well.
Good luck to you, Ross. Good luck. Okay, I'll pass.
Bad luck to you.
The person who normally chants 4 telling somebody good luck seems a little weird.
Yeah, I gotta wait till he mulligans, and then I'll get that going,
I'll start with a bobble, and I'll bobble you.
Ooh, bobbling me, huh? How good is it?
It's okay.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go to 17, get a Blood Crypt, and Inquisition you.
Okay.
I want to use the bobble to inform my Inquisition here.
Well, I have a Scalding Tarn, so you're not going to see it anyways.
Sure, or force you to crack a fetch. That's fine.
That's true. Okay, and there's my magic cards. I got 3 drops.
That is a lot of Cascade cards.
Yes, it is. I was like, this hand is perfect against a hand disruption, a heavy hand disruption hand.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Do you start going for the Cascade? Do you give up? Because that deck doesn't deal with Rhinos extremely well game 1. Game 2, you got a lot of EEs. That is very helpful, but...
Well, I don't think the Prismari command is particularly good.
I don't think Prismari command is ever particularly good. It's always pretty medium,
It's pretty good against Hammer.
That's true. Very good against Hammer.
So in that case, I think I should just take one of the Cascade cards, and Childless Agent seems better than Violent Outburst.
Yep, and then I'm going to take a Pain.
So 1917.
19. I have plenty of lands to search, but I love getting that Triumph first. Oh, Bone Crusher on top? That would have been exactly okay. That's the most okay card possible. All right, so there you go.
You're good. I'll draw on your upkeep.
Yeah, Jim kept offering the cut, so now I'm into the habit. Okay, I have a good old Misty. I drew this magical card, and I'll pass to you. So before we actually truly dive in, which Cascade deck do you think is gonna perform better today?
I generally think the Crashcade decks are better. Actually, wrote about why in my article that should be live now. I didn't check though.
Okay. Yeah, I'm under that impression too. I do think it's just slightly better, but I do think there's going to be a lot of times where people really can try to hate on Rhinos with EE being the main card, and then you just really can get them with Living End, since EE doesn't deal with it. But of course, there are still plenty of cards that deal with both.
Okay. I'm going to bobble myself.
Okay.
Don't really care for that. So let's play a Tarn and crack it. I'm going to go to 14.
You're at 14.
I will get a Watery Grave.
Okay.
And I will cast an Expressive Iteration, which is likely not going to be very good.
Better hope for that bobble, bud.
But definitely just want to be using my mana efficiently in this matchup.
Okay.
Especially when I'm going to be facing down a lot of Rhinos.
Yeah, that is the nice thing. Expressive Iteration is that really, really nice turn 3 card. And Dress Down is that really nice turn 2 card when you can flash on an end step and kind of do some Croxus stuff the next turn. Or even just cycling it. It's not so bad, How's that iteration? I'm sorry, how's that anticipate? I'm going to sack this while you do your thing.
Brings you to 18.
Yeah, I think I'll get a Hollowed Fountain just to be safe for this Teferi I drew, of course.
I think we got to take that one. I'll exile a DRC.
Yeah. Oh, so one funny thing I wanted to bring up is Jim really wanted to relive his glory days with those two main matches. You know, your last match with Mono Blue versus Blue White, and my match with Zoo against his Goblin decks. He lost both those matches, so he got to relive his glory days, but then just got beat down in them again.
Perfect.
And then you were done.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I could wait to Violent Outburst here, but I just kind of want to put my best foot forward and kind of challenge you here. So I'm going to Shardless Agent, and I'm going to Cascade. Come on. Yes! Oh, thank God. Okay. Put these in the bottom.
So lucky that you hit that. How are you
I
not
know.
lucky?
Thank God I didn't hit Prismatic Ending. All right, I got Rhinos.
All right, let's go to 11.
Going to 11. Are you trying to play a bunch of the Shadows of Death?
I should do that with this other fetch, actually.
Okay.
Scalding turn.
Yeah, and for this deck, you're going to be really proud of me, Ross. You know, I kind of just impulse bought this deck the other day, or last night. I did not buy the snow lands. I'm using non-snow full art lands. I'll take my percentage points. Thank you very much, Aspiring Spike.
Let's just get a Steam Vents and diversify my mana.
Buy Luris?
No, I don't think I will.
Okay.
I will play a Death's Shadow, though.
Okay, the Shadow of Death. That is a 2/2. Okay.
And pass the turn.
That's it, eh? A 2/2. Okay. I'm going to untap. I'm going to draw. It's a pretty solid draw. Just got to debate what I want to do here. Definitely have a lot of options. It makes sense that you would have something like Drown in the Law. Maybe Dress Down, but that doesn't seem very good.
Let's take away Cascade from Shardless Agent. That gets rid of the Rhinos, and everything's fine. That's how that works, right?
I think that's how that works. I am going to... I don't want to attack with everything. I don't think I can kill you this turn through any piece of disruption, so I don't want to get carried away with that. So I think I want to just get a little frisky with one. I'm just going to attack with one.
Okay, no blocks. Brings you to 7.
7. And now what do I want to do? I think I'm just going to pass to you. It's going to be nice and boring.
I'll play a tap Blood Crypt and pass.
End step, Violent Outburst.
Cascade trigger's fine.
Rhinos. I'd like to cast that.
Drown that.
Drown that. Okay, I'll force your drown. Pitching. Yeah, Prismari Command.
Yep.
Okay, Rhinos. They're all pumped. All on tab. Oh, yeah.
I've gotten Unholy Heat to deal with one of them because now I'm delirious, but...
Yeah, and I was hoping you were gonna be like, okay, I'll block, because normally if you block with this when you're at 11, 2 tramples, then Death Shadow lives, but you can reassign all the combat damage just straight to Death Shadow, and that play does not work. But I was hoping that you were going to just be like, yeah, this is going to live. But that is how that works, right? That is how that would work, right? If I assign normal trample damage to you, Death Shadow would simultaneously live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would want to assign 3 and 1.
3 and 1, yep.
Are you allowed to do that these days?
Yeah, I think you're allowed
No,
to.
I think you used to be able to split it however you want. Now it either has to.
No, I think you can still do that
You
on
can
like
assign all, but
I
can
think
we?
Trample has to assign like
They changed the way
lethal
how trample
damage,
works.
right?
Like you used to be able to trample for however much you wanted, and I think they changed that.
Trample for sure has to assign lethal damage. So no matter what, I'd have to deal 2 to Death Shadow there. But I'm pretty sure, like I just remember on Magic Online when I'm playing, or even Arena, you get to just scroll up a dial, up and down as much as you want, and as long as it equals the amount of damage. So I think you can do 3-1, which would be the correct play there. This is where I would call a judge if I was at a tournament and just double check, but that's what I would assume. But I could see myself being wrong, and we know Twitch chat is right, so we'll wait for them to chime in. And while we wait for them to chime in on that, Rob, I'd like a question from our lovely audience. What are they up to? How are they feeling?
Yeah, we did have one earlier.
Okay.
D-High Mono wants to know, so your sideboard choices against the Cascade deck, what are you normally looking to do? Is it like a Void Mirror Chalice discussion, or is there some other axis you think you should attack this deck on?
So there's a lot of options that you can do. I think the best one in my eyes is EE, but it is, of course, contextual, because if you're playing an Urza Saga deck, EE is going to hurt you, So then you probably want more Chalice or something like this. But since you're playing a Bobble deck, you don't really want Chalice for 0. That's also a little awkward with Void Mirror as well. So I love what Aspiring Spike did with just EEs being the card that he chose from for this. It's just the only card that doesn't hit you severely with it. But it's really contextual to the deck. What do you think?
Yeah, so EE is going to hit the Cascade deck, is not going to do much against Living End.
Agreed.
Which is another issue.
But then we have Soul Guide Lanterns for those.
Yeah. So if you're fine splitting it up and not having as much for both, that makes sense. And obviously, as Corey said, Chalice and Void Mirror interact poorly with your own game plan.
This is the card if you can facilitate it, but that's a big requirement.
Yeah, so it really is, contextual to the deck. Chalice and Void Mirror have dyssynergy with Mishra's Bauble, but they're a lot better in, I would say, like Void Mirror. Well, Void Mirror can be awkward in Hammer, too, because they have a lot of zeros. But it can be, very good in certain decks where it really just doesn't hit you at all.
It's a great card as well.
Yeah, Flush the Storm is a nice one against the Cascade deck. So generally, you do want to play cards that don't negatively impact you as well.
Yeah.
Because even if the card is a little bit worse against your opponent, if it has no negative impacts with your cards too, it's just going to play better.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a better sideboard card overall. So I would try to find, the best individual card for the matchup that doesn't negatively impact your own strategy.
Yeah.
So, cheap counter spells like Flush the Storm or, Force of Negation. Force can be a little awkward against Violent Outburst.
Yeah, I don't love Force as an option. Not in love with it. Like the best package that I've still found to this day, and it was just a package that we stumbled upon, is the Urza deck. I think that's like really the only reason that deck's having somewhat success right now, is because I think it's a great Crashcade matchup. Just because you get to whir into Chalice for 0, postboard you get to whir into Void Mirror. That's not as good because you got to do that preemptively, and you can also whir into EE. You can just cast to fairies. You have portable holes to clean up half of it. That is what I've found to be kind of the best recipe for it, but I don't think those decks are particularly that good.
Yeah. There's also Drannith Magistrate starting to see a little bit of play because it dodges Stomp, it dodges Fire Ice, it dodges Dead from Dead Gone.
Yeah. Doesn't stop Fury, but
yeah. So it can get Furied, but that's about it, and that can be a good one. The other thing I'll say is I often, if it's possible, I like to have a mix of different things. So you can disrupt them with the counter spells, with discard spells, and with permanent-based disruption, permanent hate. And they have ways to defend against all of those things individually. But if you make them defend against multiple of them, you really force them to dilute their deck, or split their spots that they have devoted towards answers. So it's half towards one and half towards the other, and it makes it less likely that they draw the right counter answer to your hate.
Yeah. And another huge factor to this that we don't run into on Magic Online is open versus closed decklist tournaments. I know there's not a ton of modern open decklist tournaments these days, but especially if you get put in a situation where you're playing one of those, you for sure want to diversify a bit. Because if all I have to do is play around EEs, you can act accordingly. An open decklist tournament is going to favor these high power decks like Crashcade. So another minor thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about hate cards.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention before we get into the second game is important to note there that I got pretty punished for taking the second copy of Shardless Agent with my discard spell, my Inquisition, instead of the Violent Outburst. Now, my thought process was that Corey was definitely going to get to fire off his Rhinos because I had just the one discard spell, no drowns in my hand at the point I was casting it.
Yep.
I found that off the iteration the next turn. And so I was going to be a little bit under the gun, and my life total is already stressed because I'm fetch shocking a lot to get my Death Shadow out, which I had to because I had a Death Shadow hand as well.
Yeah.
And so I thought that extra 2/2 could end up being very relevant and might be the difference between Corey having a lethal attack later in the game and me stabilizing the battlefield.
Yep.
As it turned out, I found the counterspell, you found the force, and so the exact opposite, case happened where I got really punished. And if I leave you the Shardless Agent and your hand is Shardless Agent, Force, Prismari Command, the Prismari Command doesn't do a whole lot. You probably just have to jam the second agent. I get to use my mana that turn, drown your Crashing Footfalls. Then I get to fire off my iteration because I don't have to hold up anything. Maybe find something else good, and the game could have played out very differently.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't going to play on your favor no matter what there, because I also just had Fury fire like Teferi. My hand was absolute gas, but I agree that was a minor punish, and I do think. One last thing I want to say about this deck is I think this deck is extremely well built, and I think you struggle a little bit game one. You got to have these aggressive draws, a nice Ragavan draw or something like that. But I think where Modern used to be the case where White had like the best sideboard cards with Rest in Peace, Stony Silence, those kind of things that just were huge high impact cards, I think Grixis has it now. Like I think this sideboard has just great tools for everything. Of course, there's a lot of artifacts as well, but I love the sideboard in this, and it kind of gives you game against everything post-board. Yeah.
So, like we said, we're going to take a break and get some sideboarding.
I mean, your sideboard isn't that important, so.
I'll be on the play for this one, and I will keep.
I am going to keep as well up against the Thoughtseize deck, but this hand is not as good.
Okay. Lead on a Bauble. I'll Bauble myself.
Okay.
I like that card, so let's lead on a shock land, go to 18 to play this Ragavan. And, yeah, I'll just play this other Bauble and Bauble you.
Okay, you're seeing this card.
Ooh, that's a good one. And then I'll pass the turn, draw 2 on your upkeep.
Okay. Yeah, not too much I can do about Ragavan right now. I'm just going to have to let that punch me in the face, but I'm going to suspend this.
So 18 all.
And I'll pass to you.
Not the best set of draws, but I'll attack in.
Okay.
16.
16, get your treasure. And would you like a Bone Crusher?
If I stomp you, you get the Bone Crusher, right?
I would imagine. I don't think you can have an Adventure Zone.
That said, I actually think I'm pretty happy just casting a Bone Crusher.
Yeah, Bone Crusher's not bad.
So let's crack this and get Steam Vents.
Okay, so you are going to go to 15. I'm at 16.
Yep, and I will just cast a... Oh, God, my hand's everywhere. Everything's ruined.
All right.
Live is canceled. Everyone go home.
Also, Chad seems to be pretty sure that Ross, you'd get the Bone Crusher Giant after this.
Yeah, I'd still rather play a 4/3.
Yeah.
Nah, just,
Just for future reference.
Yeah.
I can see it going either way.
Yeah. That's one of those things I'm just like. It depends on how exactly the adventure mechanic is worded in the rules.
Yeah. All right. I am going to evoke Fury, and I'm going to exile this and kill these two.
Oh, it's still just a 2-for-1 since the Bone Crusher came
Was
along.
mine, yeah. And since it's an ability, I do not take 2 damage, and I'll pass to you at your upkeep. I am going to ice down the Blood Crypt.
Yep.
A draw.
Well, that played out as badly as it possibly could have.
Welcome back, buddy. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah. Literally just got max punished. Because you had 3 exact cards in your hand.
I did have 3 cards in my hand. Thank you. Thank you for noticing. I bought them on sale at Target.
I'm gonna crack the Delta, go to 14.
Okay.
Gonna get a swamp,
Okay.
and I will Thoughtseize you.
Thoughtseize. Well, this wouldn't be the best use of this Force Negation, so yep, there you go.
I will take the Brazen Borrower
Okay.
and pass the turn.
All right. This is down to 2.
Yes.
12. Oh, with Thoughtseize. Yep. Okay. I will play this, and I'll pass to you.
I certainly had reason to get the Steam Vents on turn 2, but got very punished since the Fire Ice meant I couldn't cast this Shadow.
Ah, okay, okay.
I guess I shouldn't have shown you that immediately since I'm casting a Kroxa first, but...
A Kroxa first, huh? Yeah, I have to expect my force is pretty bad at this point, but still might do something. I think it's better than just another round. So, yeah, I'll take 3.
Go to 13.
Yep.
And then I'll play a Mire, and I don't have to fetch that right now, right? In case that matters. I can just play a 1/1 Shadow.
1/1.
Well,
guess if I fire, I could kind of get you.
it's just going to
Or
make it
stomp.
awkward to crack this fetch.
Yeah.
If it was a 2/2 right now, I think that would be fine to do. Because
Yeah,
then the
'cause then you
crack
could make it a
means-
3/3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make it a 3/3. So yeah, let's imagine I do this first.
Okay.
Definitely getting Watery Grave here.
And untap, I imagine?
Yeah, Watery Grave on tap. I'm going to leave the Blood Crypt on tap because I have a red card in my hand.
Oh, sure.
Pass the turn.
Okay,
So I'm at 9.
Yep.
And I
You're
got
at 9, and I'm at
4/4
13.
Shadow.
I'm going to sack this Tarn.
Brings you to 12.
Yep. And... I'll just get this Triome. Okay, untap this to 1, draw. I'm gonna play this. And I'll pass to you.
Yeah, I'll play Expressive Iteration.
You can express your iterations. Yeah, I don't want to force that because if you do have dress down, I just die immediately. So I'm at 12, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you do play 3 in the main, so not the best idea on my part.
Hit an incredibly awkward set of draws here. Just wanted to hit a land, and I, of course, did not. So once again, this Expressive Iteration is going to be a glorified Intimidate.
Intimidate?
Or
Anticipate?
Yeah. Different card. You know what I meant.
I was like, it's not that intimidating.
Yeah, so that'll go there. Which of these would I rather draw later in the game?
Okay.
Probably this one, to be honest. We'll exile this Dragon's Rage Channeler again.
Okay.
And attack you for 4.
Okay, I'll take it. I'm down to 8.
8, and then I'll pass the turn.
All right. End step, I'm going to gone this. Put it back in your hand. All my information is known. Pretty clear, drown in the loch.
Yeah, and I'd rather it trade for this force.
Okay. I would like to cast this. And, yeah, I get 2 rhinos. May I draw my magic card?
Yep.
Yeah, pretty clear that you could cast Kroxa, and I'd like to be able to cast Fury, so I'll pass to you. Play this land. Cast Fury if I draw it is what I meant to say.
Yeah, definitely casting the Kroxa here.
Yep.
Want to leave myself Delirium if I can, so let's get rid of 2 lands and a Bauble for sure. Then I need to get rid of 2 more.
Okay.
So I definitely can't, because I don't. But I will get rid of both sorceries.
Okay.
And you take 3, go to 5.
I'm at 5.
Pass the turn.
We need a big one. All right. Let's see. How do I win this game? I think it would involve me attacking with these.
Block.
All right. Take 4.
I go to 5. So 5 all.
5. I got a Prismari command. I'll deal 2 to that, and I guess I'll make a treasure. I'll pass to you. Not the best, not the worst.
That was a good draw.
Ruh-roh.
I will play Death Shadow that you know about,
Yep.
and I will pass the turn.
Okay.
With a pretty unbeatable hand.
Uh-oh. Fury?
So currently my Shadow is an 8/8,
Yes.
and so that can deal 4 to this, but not anything to me.
Correct.
And
Well, you are a planeswalker, so.
so you can't kill my Death Shadow. So I should just let this happen.
Okay. I'll deal 4 there.
Yep.
I don't know if I should attack. You could lightning bolt,
I have removal spells for both your creatures.
but that means I die.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess you win. All right, all right. Yeah, I suppose that wouldn't have even been good enough, huh?
Yeah. Well, the drown was the draw. It's like that just cements
Yeah.
my position. Also, I had the dress down when I went for the iteration.
Did you? Okay. So I made the right call, not forcing that?
Yeah.
Because otherwise it didn't make sense to you to not Kroxa, because Kroxa is so good. I was like, you had to have something, and you were baiting that out.
I should have Croxed, but I drew
Yeah.
the dress down, and I just couldn't.
You couldn't resist possibly getting me.
Yeah.
Greed is...
Couldn't resist chat. I
Greed...
should have played Croxa that turn, and I know it, and I'm sure you know it too. Don't get mad at me. I'm just one man. I can only resist so much. The temptation was too great.
He thought me dumb. Me not dumb. Not falling for that.
He Jane, me Tarzan.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, Jane and Tarzan are 1-1 in these games here. We got a bunch of sideboard cards. I'm especially afraid of your sideboard cards, but I got a couple tricks up my sleeve as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2 here on Versus Live. All right, everybody. Welcome back to sideboarding here between Crashcade and Grixis Death Shadow. From my end, Force of Negation has been historically bad against these Death Shadow heavy discard matchups. This one's really no different. I'm also not a big fan of Brazen Borrower here. It can kind of last minute get some last points over the finish line, which I kind of like against Death Shadow, but I don't really like the Petty Theft since you have just all really cheap threats. Hitting Croxa is probably the best, so leaving in a few of them, but trimming down on those. Bringing in the other two Teferis and some Endurances. A nice flash threat as well as just dealing with Crocs on key turns, stopping Delirium, and then blocking Channeler is pretty big. And then I'm bringing in one Blood Moon just to keep you on your toes and keep you honest.
Yeah, and on my side, the Flusterstorms and Engine Explosives, we talked about just good cards against either the Rhinos once they've resolved or stopping the Rhinos from resolving. Unholy Heat, I think, in general is just better than Lightning Bolt. You have several big creatures, and Unholy Heat also is going to deal with Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Bar rather effectively.
Yep.
Trimming one of the Dress Downs, I think I need to take a little bit more of a defensive posture in this matchup. And Dress Down is a very aggressive card in this deck, so 2 is fine.
Oh, Dress Down. Yeah, I just can't get over that card. Like, I read it when I was looking over that list, and I was like, God, what is that card even, like, really for? And then I just started playing with it. I was like, oh, it does everything. Yeah. It just does everything.
It's just everything Teamer Battle Rage wished it was.
Yes. No kidding. Just straight making it 13-13 I thought was just comical. It's incredible. And then once it killed Karnstruck tokens, I'm like, yep, all right, that's it. And I even just in response to like a Stoneforge Mystic played it, and I was like, yeah, nice 1/2, nice Squire. I've played with that card before, and I think it's just absolutely incredible.
Let's wait till I play it in response to a Fury.
Oh yeah, stuff. In response to an evoked Fury, like I'll just 2 for 0 myself. Thank you very much.
You get to keep the creature.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. That's true.
But you do stop the ability.
Yeah, I get my 3/3 against your deck of all removal spells.
That's double strike.
That's true. Sorry, you took out your bolt, so you're in a lot of trouble.
Basically cold to it.
You are completely dead. So, all right, game 3. I will be going first. Good luck to you, Ross.
Bad luck to you, Corey.
Okay. Well, I'm still just trying to relive the glory days of that first hand, and they're not there yet, but I will try to keep this.
This is a very mediocre hand.
The hot mediums, if you will?
Look really, really mediocre.
Okay. Do you strive for mediocrity when it comes to these type of decks?
The difference in y'all's expressions between like Ross painting over keeping a medium hand and Corey just like joyfully keeping a terrible hand is hilarious.
Exactly. To each his own, yeah.
I'm going to keep, but it's very mediocre.
To be fair, it is a product of the matchup, too. Like, I'm going to keep worse hands against a Heavy Thoughtseize deck than you're going to keep against me. You need to be a lot more focused. So that is a little bit of design and a little bit of who I am as a person.
Yeah, I wasn't commenting on this hand in particular, just in general.
Whatever, Rob.
Yeah, emblematic of a larger trend. Okay, well, that's a fine draw. I've got a Mishra's Bauble. I'll bauble myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep that one on top. Play my Delta, pass, draw your upkeep.
Okay. I will play this, and I will pass to you.
I will play a Blood Crypt untapped.
Okay.
Go to 18 and pass the turn.
End step. I will ice down that Blood Crypt. Oh, draw. Untap. Draw. I will play this. I'm going to crack this. Take 3. Go to 17.
Yep. 17 to 18.
Flusterstorm is instant sorcery, right?
Correct.
Okay. I will take 2 and jam it to Fairy.
Yep.
All right, I don't have it. I was just bluffing. Just kidding. I do have it. Okay. Now what to do with it? You're not quite delirious. Resolves, I imagine?
Yep.
Not quite delirious, so Unholy Heat is still a ways away from it. So I think I'm just going to tick up and I'm going to pass to you.
Let's crack this delta.
Okay. You go to 17, question mark.
Yeah, I will be taking 2 from it.
Oh, taking 2 as well, so you go to 15.
Going to 15 for Steam Vents.
Okay. But you can't play anything. Why would you take 2 right now? You just can't play anything. I don't see an explanation. Rob, he's just out here taking 2 for fun. No, and he wonders why he hasn't had the marbles against me in so long with these plays. I mean, come on. Tighten up. Lots of options on this turn, I imagine, for you.
Yeah, I'll start it with a Thoughtseize.
Okay. My hand is not good.
Wow. That's going to put me to 13. I will take... Whew.
Which one of these very medium pieces of my deck? Yeah, I drew all my Cascade cards game 1. Now I'm done with that. I'm done with the Rhino part of the game. I'm just a very bad 4-color mid-range deck without Omnath, so really downgrading myself here.
I think I'm going to take the Prismari command. I don't want you to just turn those lands into gas.
That's what I wanted to do next turn.
And...
You jerk.
I'm going to go to 10.
Okay.
Get a Watery Grave.
Okay.
I guess I could get... Thinking about getting basic Swamp, actually, just in case you draw Blood Moon, which is a real tilt.
Yeah, Blood Moon would be nice.
About that, but no.
That's why I leave 1 in the deck. Keep you thinking. Because you know it's there, right?
I'm actually just going to main phase Address down.
Okay.
This gets me to Delirium. Hopefully I can find an Unholy Heat to deal with this Teferi.
You could play it at your end step and give me the chance to Fury.
End step, Dress down goes away.
Okay.
You're up.
Okay. Now it's a question of, do I want to just keep ticking up to Fairy? You are at Delirium now, so it's much more risky that I can get Unholy Heated, since you probably have like 3. So I'm going to just draw. Okay. I am going to suspend this.
Okay.
Then I'm going to play a Wooded Foothills, and I'll pass to you. I wanted to draw something to put Rhinos into play, but that was not it. That was not the ideal one.
Well, I did draw an Unholy Heat.
Okay.
So let's do that.
I'm glad I got my value with the Teferi then.
Then I'll play Death Shadow.
Okay.
And then I'll pass the turn.
All right. I'll crack this.
Brings you to 16.
Yep. I will get a Stomping Ground. Pretty awkward with the amount of cards I have in my graveyard now to try to play around Drawn in the Law. Yeah, I'll go for it.
I have the drown.
Okay, I'll pass to you.
Draw. Let's start this turn with an Expressive Iteration.
Yep.
God, I am the actual worst at hitting lands with this card.
Well, I'm the worst at hitting a actual Cascade spell so far, so we're both not doing it.
That one's definitely going to the bottom.
Okay.
I guess I'll exile the DRC.
Okay.
And play DRC.
Okay.
Then I will Thoughtseize you, Surveil 1.
God dang it.
Put this Rogavan in the graveyard. I will go to 8, and then I will attack you for 5.
Dang it, yep.
Takes you to 11.
11.
And then I'll pass the turn.
I wanted that Fury. That was not ideal.
And now my Death Shadow's out of range of a top-decked 3rd Fury.
Yep. All of the things.
I am at 8, so Shadow's a 5/5.
Debating what I want to do here with this card.
Probably want to play it tapped instead of shocking yourself.
Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, I think I'll just play it. And I'll play this and I'll pass to you. Not feeling great about this.
It's 8 to 11.
Correct.
I would go to 6.
So the whole time I'm playing this deck and just drawing, very, very medium cards when you don't hit your Cascade stuff, I'm just looking over at you and you look like you're having just a great time with all these cards. Makes me happy which deck I added to cart last night. Although I do think this is a great deck. I really do. I just love that style of deck. I don't even care if it's not the best deck.
I guess, so I was initially going to make I'm trying to think what cores outs are, basically.
Yeah. As am I.
Yeah. And I have an easy play that makes any Cascades card not an out.
This helps a little bit for my outs, but...
Oh, no, I actually don't, because that won't... yeah, I think I just...
I think the way I win is something like Teferi into Cascade or something, And I'm sure you even have that covered, but that's like my best hope.
Yes, maybe I should be thinking about that. How do I beat Teferi into Cascade?
You probably just don't. But that is an extremely lucky scenario for me.
I will just attack you for 8.
For 8. It's pretty brutal here because the chump block now pretty much doesn't save me next turn anyways. It just helps me to not die if you have Drust down, which you only have 1 left. And I don't think there's a way that this Bone Crusher is just going to connect and kill you. So yeah, I think I'll just chump.
You take 3, go to 8.
Yep.
And I will play Channeler and Byluris.
Okay.
Pass.
All right. I think I better crack this now. I'll go to 7. Any land? All right, I think I need exactly Teferi into it, and I don't even think that's going to be enough. So we'll go to 1. I'll draw. I'll play this land. Can't beat that card anyways. Yeah, then I will pass to you.
Play a bauble, Surreal twice.
Yep. That's not how Surreal works.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just...
that was my out.
yeah.
Judge.
That one's going to stay on top.
Okay.
Then I will... dash a Ragavan.
Okay.
Then I will Thoughtseize you, Surveil twice.
Surveil twice is fine.
Stay on top.
I'll play the summer spots. The only card that keeps me alive. Maybe.
Okay, so this gets on the. It goes on the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah, random order.
Bottom and random. Thoughtseize resolves. You go to 6.
Ross finally learned.
Yeah. And
So I go to 6.
yep.
So you still have to.
Chump.
You still have to chump. Yeah. Wow. And you're gonna have some rhinos.
Yeah, it's like might have a chance if you somehow miraculously can't get delirium. You also got Ragavan here. Like I'm still in a ton of trouble.
I will attack with my creatures.
Yeah, I have no choice.
Put you to 3.
Yep. Take 4. Yep, I go to 4.
No,
Oh,
you
I didn't take my
yeah,
pain.
you
Yep,
missed the
I'm
fetch.
at 3.
Get a treasure. Exile the top card.
Would you like to Blood Moon?
You know what? I can't even if I wanted to.
Okay, good.
And then I will pass the turn on your upkeep. Bauble you.
Okay. All right, crashing.
Oh, this is Ragman's in my
Yeah.
hand. That's there. Footfalls is fine.
I got these. I'll draw. It's an interesting one. I can't win if those DRCs get delirious. So, yeah, I'll fire them. Hope for the best.
I will Flusterstorm for 3 copies, 2
Two surveils, yeah.
surveils. I'll put a creature in the graveyard.
No!
I'll put another creature in the graveyard.
Yeah,
I'll have. Do you want to pay the 3?
I sure do.
Okay, my 3/3 DRCs each have a damage on them.
Okay. Oh, then I'll just attack for 8, which I can. All right, GG.
Oh, would that have been a good draw?
That would have been a good one. Yeah. You know what? I'm glad that the fire didn't work because those were some weird sequences that I did not expect that could keep me in. But endurance, was actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I did all. I had the Flusterstorm, so I felt pretty good. Endurance was actually one of the cards that really made things difficult on me.
Yeah, I mean, endurance is always something that makes it difficult on my life. I just don't have enough of it. So working out, walking upstairs, all that stuff is pretty bad. So
yeah. So far, a very close match.
Yeah,
I think those games are close. You flooded a bit in game 3,
and I just could not find a Cascade card. I kept a hand that was Cascade cardless, but with like 2 fires, Fury, Prismari Command. You don't mulligan that against the Thoughtseize deck, but it is a hot medium hand where if I was in a matchup like, the Mirror or something, I would not want to keep that. But, if I'm up against Hammer Time or something, that hand's just great because I'm going to kill everything. So I think that's very few times you mulligan that against a lot of different decks. I used Teferi in the right way, contextual to your hand, and drew a card where that was my big turn. When I could just draw there, I hit Footfalls land, and I knew Footfalls, it wasn't going to go 4 more turns Either way, like your deck puts on enough pressure with Death Shadow and just, all your really super efficient creatures that was the turn I really needed to draw some. I didn't, and you were able to walk away with it. But once again, that deck always impresses me. I think it's pretty good.
When we think about Cascade decks, we often think about decks that are so dedicated towards having that turn 3 that they have it every time. And we're going to see that more often with the Living End deck in round 2. With all the cycling that happens from the creatures, you find your Cascade cards a lot more frequently.
You do, yeah.
Crashgate is a deck that, you have 8 Cascade spells. Some of the whitelists have even more than that. But you're not dedicated towards finding them. The rest of the deck isn't cantrips that somehow fit the Cascade theme. Yeah. Hard to find.
And it's less vulnerable as well. Like Graveyard Hate cold stops Living End, so there is give and takes.
Yes, yeah.
Soul Guide Lantern from the Living End deck, you're just like, oh God, time to start casting 4 mana, 4/4 flyers, like that feels bad.
It's better than what they used to have to do, cast monstrous Carabids and whatnot.
Yes, so, powerful.
They've still improved in that respect. But this is a deck that's supposed to be able to win games, sometimes when you don't make Rhinos. And in this case, you just weren't really able to do that. Flooded a little bit. Your removal doesn't match up that well against Death Shadow.
It really doesn't. The card specifically, Death Shadow, is great against me.
Yeah, I think it's just generally, very good right now, and I'm happy to see it in lists that aren't as dedicated, that aren't playing a Scourge of the Skyclaves, for example. Yeah. For you just playing Death Shadow, I do think those are pretty different cards, even though they read the same. One's much more aggressive. Death Shadow is much more mid-rangey. And is still impactful late in the game. So, this can definitely be a tough matchup. I've got a good set of just good threats and disruption, and was able to get it going in the second 2 games, against okay draws from your end.
Yep.
But we saw the power of the Cascade cards, Living End is when it resolves, can do a whole lot. Can kill 4 creatures on the other side of the battlefield, bring 4 or 5 creatures back, and it's this huge swing. Here it's just some 4/4s, but still very relevant in a matchup where I'm playing a ton of 1-for-1s. You're playing a lot of 1-for-1s too, but then you just have this sort of 2-for-1, 3-for-1 card that you have 8 copies of in your deck.
Yep.
So really important in this matchup, and we saw how important it was. You drew 3 of them, and you won game 1. Didn't draw as many in games 2 and 3. I was able to take it down.
That's true. So the next round, we're going to have Ross playing the next Cascade deck that we're going to play, like Living End, like we've been chatting about. But now it's going to be up against Is It Midrange, so the Is It Murktide list. And there's some interesting dynamics to keep an eye on. So we have Thought Scour from my end, where I actually put creatures in the graveyard, so your Living Ends aren't just no matter what, I kill all your creatures, I get mine back. I might get some as well, which really complicates it. And also, I have some counter spells as well, just in the main deck. So it's going to be similar style, where you're still trying to cascade into your powerful spell while simultaneously trying to deal with Ragavan Dragon Rage Channelers. But there's an extra challenge that you have to deal with. So should be a fun round. We're going to take a short 5-minute break, and we'll be right back with our second round here on Cascade Day. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, welcome back to Versus Live. My name is Corey Baumeister.
And I'm Ross Merriam.
And we got Rob in the booth. Say what's up, Rob.
What's up, Rob?
Rob will be taking all your questions, comments, concerns, and the burns. Make sure to tag at Star City Games, and he will get his favorite one sent over to us. So we are doing a little Cascade Day to kind of just check in on if anything can compete with Team of Rhinos as far as best Cascade deck. I think that's what we're leaning on as well, as thinking is the best. But early on in this format, Gabriel Nassif stream, I was watching it constantly, and he was a huge component to this Living End Cascade deck, and it looked awesome. I do think there are some things that have led to its decrease in popularity, and that's just what happens a lot in Modern when graveyard decks start to get an uptick. Decks like Living End get this collateral damage, right? Like Soul Guide Lantern, I think, is the worst possible card for him. Even like Leyline's probably actually a little bit worse, but even the ones that just have to sit on the battlefield to stop Leyline Rest in Peace and stuff like that, you at least have ways to bounce those. But if you go to bounce like a Soul Guide Lantern, you just then exile everything. So I guess they do similar things, and then you just have to rebuild from that. It's not like the Crashcade deck where you just cascade into it once, you get the effect, you can cascade into it once and get the effect and probably wrap the board, but you're not bringing back a bunch of stuff with you. So it takes bouncing that effect, figuring out a plan to counter it on its way down, and then setting up and then doing it again. It's a lot of extra steps.
There is one thing you can do against the one-shot effects, the Soul Guide Lanterns, Tormod's Crypts, Nile Spellbombs of the world, and that is actually cast your Cascade spell into it with some extra mana left over.
And then cast another one?
And well, they sometimes you can do that with a Violent Outburst if you have 6 mana, or you can just have some Cyclers in your hand, let them exile your graveyard, and then with the Living End cell in the stack, cycle a few in. That helps if you got a Straight Wraith there for free. And you'll get maybe 2, 3, 4 creatures max in there, a smaller Living End, but still one that's going to be pretty impactful.
Yeah, and sometimes that's plenty. You know, I mean, you get a 5/5 hexproof, couple 4/4 flyers in there, and you're set.
You know, back 10 years ago when the Living End deck, first premiered, it might have even been, it's probably even more than 10 years at this point. You know, the creatures individually weren't nearly as powerful, so that was harder to do. Now, the 5/5 hexproof, a lot better than Monstrous Carabid and Deadshot Minotaur. You got some 4/4 flyers. You got things like Waker of the Waves that have real impact on the battlefield, along with your Street Wraiths, which sometimes are unblockable. Not in this matchup, but the creature quality is higher, so you don't need as many out of your one Living End to really have a major impact on the battlefield.
Well said. And I'm going to just be playing is it mid-range deck? Is it Murktide? I think this deck is a deck that maybe ebb and flows from being super popular or whatever, but regardless, it puts up results. It's still just a strong deck. I still think Murktide Region is one of the best creatures in the format. It's another card that ebb and flows with how people respect it, whether it be Path or Prismatic Endings is kind of the biggest comparison to me, or just a ton of Graveyard as well. But still just a perfectly fine deck, a deck I would be happy to sleeve up at a tournament this weekend. I think its stature has dropped a little bit, but you still see plenty of it around. It's always in the top 16, top 32. You're still making some top 8s. So definitely a deck that, if you want to compete, is something you need to be prepared for. I completely agree. So I will go first since you got lucky. Jim's been trading you clearly. Like you came back with some unholy heat to bring, huh?
Yeah, I try my best.
Okay, I can keep.
I will be keeping as well.
Okay, so I'm going to take 2. I'm going to play a Dragon, a Rage, a Channeler, and I'm going to Bobble, Surveil.
Got all the tricks.
All of them. I don't think I can really keep this, so I'll put this here.
Also, generally surveilling into a creature in the graveyard against Living End.
Not bad. Let's see that. Good grief. And this is before I was always saying this is the best grief deck. Now that is still true, but I've just changed the wording a little bit. It's the only good grief deck.
I'll play a Spiral of Canal and pass.
Okay. All right, I'm going to draw 2. A 1. A 2. Excellent. This card is not good in this matchup that I have in my hand. At all. Not remotely playable. So I am going to play this land. I am going to play EE for 0, Surveil.
Yep. EE, very good against Rhinos, very bad against Living End.
It sure is.
Are you telling me you can't EE for 7 to hit my Striped Riverwinder?
No. I need a lot of Ragavans, and I need extra colors to be added to the game. And then I'm in. Then I'm super in. Okay, so now I am going to attack.
No blocks.
I will bolt you, Surveilture.
Yep. That's going to get you to Delirium.
Yep. So
take 6 total. It'll be a 14.
And I will pass to you.
Okay. On your end step, I'll cycle the Riverwinder.
Okay.
Go to my turn.
You got it.
You have 3 cards in hand?
3 cards. All busted.
I will play or evoke Grief, pitching Living End.
Okay, yep, that's pretty good, considering I only have 1 good card in my hand.
I will take the expressive iteration.
Is that exiled or just graveyard?
Graveyard.
Okay.
Then I will play another Spire Bluff Canal and pass the turn.
Okay, I'm wondering if I want to sack this Flooded Strand. Doesn't really matter right now. I'll attack for 3.
Brings me to 11.
Yep. And I'm going to play this tapped, and I'll pass to you.
On your end step, I'm going to activate Waker of the Waves.
Okay.
So I get to look at the top 2, put one into my hand, the other into my graveyard.
Okay.
Let's put Curator into the graveyard, this one into my hand,
Okay.
and go to my turn.
Sure.
I would like to start this turn by evoking a Grief, pitching Architects of Will.
I'm not feeling good about this game, believe it or not. Okay.
I will take the Unholy Heat.
Okay.
I will then play a Forest and pass the turn.
Yeah, I can't possibly imagine how I win this game. So I'll untap.
On your upkeep,
Okay.
I'll cycle a Street Wraith, go to 9.
Okay.
I will cycle a Street Wraith, go to 7.
Okay.
I will cast a Violent Outburst and trigger a Cascade.
God, I hope you hit Rhinos instead of Living End.
Oh, I hit a Living End.
Okay, I'm going to respond, I guess, with an Abrade on my own channeler, and I'm going to Surveil. Okay. Don't really want to draw that. Okay. That resolves.
2 Grief triggers.
Okay.
And yeah, you can continue with your turn, I guess.
I'll sack to 17.
Yep. Still have Delirium, right? Land, instant,
I would
sorcery,
imagine.
artifact.
Yeah, artifact. I drew a playable magic card at least. I'll play Vision, Surveil. I don't know if that can possibly actually get me out of this.
You actually have to double jump and go to 1.
I
on
do.
my next attack. Yeah,
Okay.
this is 16, my 5 smallest creatures.
So I don't think my Murktide, that's a little too late. I'll draw. I'll scry.
7, so 2 bolts isn't going to do it, especially not with this Force of Negation in my hand.
Yeah. So you're just flexing on me?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Flex. All right, you win.
Yeah, but pretty ideal draw for my end.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, the double Grief, double Street Wraith. Turn
Do you want to play 2 pre, or do you want to do
We
sideboard?
did 2 pre with the other.
Yeah,
so.
that's only fair. I have a ton of dead cards in this matchup, but, that's all right.
I drew the
I only have 1 EE, actually, so that's not so
Yeah.
bad. That's just the one card I don't want to draw.
Yeah, I drew the second Living End off the second Street Wraith.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, oh, I swear to God, if there's only 2 in this deck, I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like
there is
99.9% sure there's 3.
Yeah.
But I've definitely seen lists with 2 before.
Yeah. Yeah, there's really no way to shuffle one of those back in, right?
Yeah, it was going to be just about the most embarrassing way to lose a game.
Oh, that would have been so good.
History of Versus Live.
So good. Or just use Street Wraith, then do it right at the end there, right? Like, or
Yeah.
that is when you Street Wraith.
Yeah, but I did it
it.
off the second one. If I hit the second copy
Okay.
Living Out off the first Street Wraith, then I just don't cycle the second.
Okay, good. Yeah, I thought you put yourself in a position where that was the only sliver of chance I could win the game.
I actually hit Force of Negation off the first Street Wraith. Then I thought, okay, now I definitely want to try to hit a blue card.
Yeah.
Just I don't know, in case of something.
Yeah.
And I drew Living End and briefly had that sort of Reclamation Sage-esque panic.
It was all coming back to you now, huh? All right,
It
Rob,
never leaves.
it never leaves. It's leaving. beefs with you. All right, can I get a question from you, Rob?
Yeah, we had one earlier about not so much about the Cascade decks, but in the modern meta right now, do you feel like there's a best food deck, or is that deck kind of like falling a little bit?
Yeah, I think they're bad right now.
Yeah, they're just too mopey.
Yeah.
To be honest, they just don't put the opponents under enough pressure. People have figured out how to disrupt them effectively. Engineered explosives is great against them, of course.
And it's getting collateral damage with rhinos, which I think is it's tier 1 and arguable for the best deck.
Yeah, Graveyard Hate is good against certain versions of it.
Yeah.
And then I've played that deck before, and every time you don't have the engine early, your deck feels really bad.
Really bad.
And so once people figured out how to stop the engine, and having it together wasn't, win 95% of the time, the deck really, it didn't really have anywhere else to go because the engine takes up so much deck space. The deck isn't very flexible.
Yeah.
And that meant that once people figured out your trick, it was like a linear deck where you just have to go away until they're not prepared for you anymore.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're taking collateral damage from other decks now, so we haven't gotten to a point where the metagame has pushed the hate cards for that deck out.
Yeah. And it's just like, drawing Cookbook, it's not a good card without Asmore. Drawing the Daredevil is not a good, it's a 4-mana 4/2. These are just really, really bad cards. So it gets so awkward, and I hate playing decks like that really need something else to really make them good. Like even Whisper Squad still attacks, still attacks for 1. And Ranko makes it better and stuff, but it can function.
Can we clip this as the first time Corey has ever said something nice about Whisper Squad?
No. Do not clip that.
Yeah, that's going on.
God.
Saved it for all of eternity.
God. I knew I was gonna regret everything.
Yeah, I'm not going to whisper that. I'm shouting it from the rooftops.
Just like drawing this EE every single game. Go on.
Very lucky that you drew EE in an otherwise awful hand, so you just got the mulligan.
Yeah, no kidding. Like, look at that. These are all cards I do not want against you. Like, that's good. That's a good start.
My hand is not great, but I think it's a keep.
I'm just hoping for fetch land, Dark Ritual, Murktide. That's the dream draw I want against you.
You're getting Dark Ritual in your deck. I think you can do better than that.
No. I have Dark Ritual. It's Thoughtscour. Yeah. Okay. Dark Ritual is in my deck.
I can't bring Dark Ritual.
Yes. In this deck, Thoughtscour is Dark Ritual. I'm not accepting questions at this time. Okay, I'll keep. Abrade's probably bad.
Kills Architects at will.
That's true.
In either mode.
And now, what do I
Can't misclick that.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Monkey. And Bobble. And I'll pass to you.
Normally, I would say you on Fiery Islet, so clearly only 1 land is good for me, but I have no answer to this monkey.
Yeah.
My deck basically has no answer to it, so you're going to have mana.
Shot the monkey.
I will just play Botanical Sanctum and pass the turn.
Let's see that card. Oh, you can't look at it.
I'm going to cycle into it very quickly,
okay? Yeah, but if it was, I could have Regabound on it.
Oh, I guess I should actually leave it there.
Oh, sorry, you already cycled. Cycled.
Yeah, I don't get that information. So
you are just a cheater.
Yeah, so let's just say I cycle. We'll give you the
You're a cheater. Okay, I'll attack. Oh, yes.
Okay. Happy now?
I am, thank you. All right, you're at 18.
I believe that's what we call justice.
Yeah, justice has been served.
That's actually very true because I literally have a cycler and you have Ragavan, so I should not have looked at.
Yeah. Okay, I am going to
go to 18.
Yep, and I'm going to cast Expressive Iteration. Let's see if I'm better at this land thing than you. I am.
3 lands.
Oh, well, I forgot it. I guess I'll keep it on top.
You forgot what?
Oh wait, yeah. I don't have a channeler.
Yeah. I could tell immediately what you were talking about. I was like, different red 1-drop.
Yeah.
I know they basically all do everything, but
yeah. All right, what do I want to do here? I got options. Don't think I need this one, so we'll get rid of this. I'll put this into my hand, and I'll exile this. And I will crack this, take 3.
Brings you to 15.
Yeah, go to 15. And I will play a channeler. Past you.
Cycle a Riverwinder.
Okay.
Play Spirebluff Canal.
Okay.
And pass the turn.
Okay. I'll draw. Let's go with a Thoughtcast targeting me, Surveil. And pretty much put anything in the graveyard at that point. Mill 2 and then draw. Okay. Now, what do I want to do? Pretty clear it's going to be a living end turn. So just playing a giant creature or something like that isn't that effective.
Yeah. Let's play Murktide Regent. You know, maybe get rid of that Ragavan because you'd have no way to bring it back.
Good call. Good call. So instead of doing something stupid like that, I'm going to just attack for 5.
Puts me to 13.
Yep, trigger. Oh, I don't want. All your cards are so bad, I do not want to cast any of them. Like, all of them. I don't think I want to cast a single one of your cards. I'm going to cast this. And then I'm going to take another pain.
14.
A Thought Scour myself, Surveil.
Yep. Mill everything.
2. Dang it. And I will pass to you.
On your end step, I'll cycle Architects at will.
Okay.
Crack Misty, go to 12.
Okay. Is it time? Is it the final countdown? Da-da-da-da.
It is unfortunately not the final countdown.
Okay.
But I will cycle a Riverwinder.
Okay.
And I will pass the turn.
All right. End step, I'm going to sack this Fiery Islet.
Sure.
Untap. Draw. And then I will play a Canal and declare attacks.
I will go to 7.
I'll get a treasure. Oh. Then I'm going to go with a Dragon Rage Channeler.
Sure.
And pass to you.
End step, activate Waker.
Okay.
And top 2. Yeah, put Force in the graveyard.
Okay.
Cycle of Street Wraith, go to 5.
Okay. You're playing with fire.
Evoke a Grief, pitch Living End.
going to respond by bolting you triggers.
Yeah, I'm dead.
Okay.
Had another Street Wraith to try to hit the Cascade card, which I was going to hit.
You were going to hit.
Couldn't beat a bolt.
You couldn't?
No, because I'm at 5. I have to go to 2 from the bolt.
Oh, okay, because you had to cycle another.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting. It'd be really interesting if this was your hand here, like just how it would have played out. Like, yeah, you would have taken bolt, I would have surveilled, doesn't matter, and then I would have unholy heated my own creature, and then I would have let you hit, put another flyer into the graveyard, and then it resolves, and I still win through it, even if you didn't take 2, which would have been cool. You know, it would have been a cool line. Because no matter what, I would either gotten 2 channelers back.
Hit any flyers.
Yep, and they'd be 2/2s because of the waves,
3s,
but that would have been enough. So I think I had you through even just grief without the Street Wraith if you had it. So. Yeah, and there.
If I was thinking more and didn't accidentally reveal that card too, the right play I think for me is to just let you hit the card you know about
for sure,
and then cycle into a card you don't know about because I don't know about either.
And it was Violent Outburst.
Yeah, we just had the Violent Outburst. It would have probably easily won that game, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I honestly
it could easily have just been in the reverse order, and it's right to do that. So
of course, but I just think justice was served. Really, that kind of short-cutting nonsense we don't put up with, Rob, here at the epitome of competitive play.
If you're in that situation and your opponent has bobbled you and they're attacking with Ragavan and you have a cycler, then from your perspective, unless they've given away some sort of tell, and that's unlikely. But assuming that,
totally can happen.
Yeah, it can. But outside of that, that's a card you don't know about. The card beneath it you don't know about. So it's the same for you to draw either one, but one of them your opponent doesn't know about it. So you deprive them of some information of what's in your hand, and that's generally better. So,
but one thing also. With that deck, there's a lot of times when it's correct to just cycle during your turn. For grief scenarios, if you draw a living end, if you have a grief in your hand where you just almost assuredly want to do it anyways, I'm sure you didn't have the hand that wanted to cycle right away anyways.
Well, but that's more of a matchup, right? Because I'm holding my grief for the turn I'm going off to take your counter spells, and I want to give you, I don't want to grief you, have you not have the counter spell, then draw into it before I go for my living end.
True.
Against a discard deck, if you're holding, then you will just want to grief early, maybe take the discard spell, then I would be cycling main phase. So it's more dependent on what your opponent's doing, and then how you're going to play your griefs as a result of that. That incentivizes you to cycle differently.
And with me having Ragavan as turn 1, I don't think there's any scenario that you would want to grief me anyways, because I already have the card, right? If you were going first, it's justifiable because you could hit Ragavan. That could change the entire dynamic of the game. You could hit grief and then hit my Ragavan,
In that case, I actually think there might have been reason to, and it's because you led with Fiery Islet.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you don't have another land.
Yeah.
And so I think it's very likely you have an iteration.
Yep.
And you're trying to just hit, get your treasure, iterate, get your second land drop, and I can stop you from doing that.
But I also had Bobble. So, I'm still drawing 2 cards. So even if you hit iteration, it just might be wrong because I could just hit lands and now all of a sudden you left me with a counter spell or something like that. So a lot of layers to it, but for the most part, you want to cycle first unless you're up against a discard deck because they could hit the card you cycle into. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that was convoluted. Did you take notes at home? Did you keep up with that? Okay, so we are going to take a short break. We are split 1-1 here. I'm bringing in some Soul Guide Lanterns from this deck. We'll see if I can finish this one out. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with sideboarding here on Versus Live.
Welcome back to Versus Live, where we are sideboarding in our matchup between Living End and Is It Midrange. On my side, I think the obvious swap here is Brazen Borrower is not particularly good in the matchup, and I want the Mystical Disputes to protect against your counter spells.
Yep.
And then the real question is how many disenchant effects of the many in my deck do I want to bring in to help answer Soul Guide Lantern?
Yep.
I'm going to bring in the number that you have, so I have 3 answers to your 3.
Can I get a 4th lantern?
I don't want to over sideboard for them because there are some other ways you can get around it, whether it's, have a Force of Negation, which I'm leaving a couple in and just counter it, or I can, do the trick where I run a, a Cascade into it and Cascade in response when I'm on 6 mana, or cycle a little bit in response, and that's good enough.
Yep.
So you don't necessarily need one of these, but it is nice to have, and they do end up just coming back as extra 2/2s. So I'm going to try 3. I'm going to cut a couple of the Force Invocations. This is a difficult card to use to protect my own Cascade spell, because it needs to be Violent Outburst, so I cast it in your turn. Not very good against Flusterstorm, which is common, but reasonable enough that I'm going to leave a couple in, and then I'm going to trim 1 Striped Riverwinder as the 1 creature, because the rest of them either play better defense against your flyers, which is what I'm worried about post Living End. You saw that, it could have come up in game 2.
I know this is tough for you. I know how much you love Riverdance music, so like that's the ultimate Riverdancer.
Yeah. So I'm leaving in Curators and Waker of the Waves for that reason, and I'm leaving in the black creatures, so I have enough black cards for Grief.
Okay.
And that means Striped Riverwinder is just kind of the odd creature out.
Gotcha. Okay, so from my end, it's just really a product of wanting to get all these heinous removal spells out against you, and I didn't even exceed fully because I had to leave some Lightning Bolts in. We saw Lightning Bolt just, end the game there, and that does happen, but a lot more games are dictated by just, I had 3 Lightning Bolts in hand, and I lost the game because of it, then, Lightning Bolts pushed me over the edge, So
yeah.
Not a great card in the matchup. I'm not in love with Dispute either, but it's a product of trying to deal with some of your blue cards, as well as 3 mana counter Living End is completely fine if I already have pressure on the battlefield. I'm gaining a bunch of treasures with Ragavan already. Something like that can actually become decent. Flusterstorm is the ultimate counter spell against you, and we're starting to see this as a 2 of 3 of, Flusterstorm's really...
Dispute, but cost 1.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's the main thing. Mystical Dispute used to be the 1 mana counterspell of choice, or Veil to fight counterspell wars. But now with the cards you need to deal with being 2 green and red cards through the Crashcade decks, it doesn't work great. But if you just go up against the Crashcade deck, Violent Outburst, even if you have 4 mana and Crashing Footfalls, I have double Force Spike for your spell, and it becomes very good. Same thing with Cascade into Living End as well. And then Soul Guide Lantern, best card against these decks. Debatable between Leylines and Rest in Peace, but those are really tough to play right now, because those kind of decks are not really good, right? Like, I don't even know what decks could play Leyline right now, except yours. I think yours is the only Leyline deck. Do you still play those? Not even anymore? I know they used to be in your list, but otherwise, you just don't really...
You've also often seen Fairy Macabre in Living End decks, just because it's a free way to put things in the graveyard, can exile a couple of creatures from your opponent's graveyard.
Yep.
But now we're looking at Endurance here, just because of how effective Endurance is in a lot of matchups, with the body, as well as being a free spell and just a little bit more robust of a piece of graveyard hate.
And honestly, I think Endurance is the real key piece that's missing from the Roanoke Basketball League as well. I think if we had a few more Endurances on that court there, we would really be shining.
It'd certainly be better than the 0 we have right now.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. It's we just don't quite have enough of that card. That's for sure. All right, Rob, do you got a question at all while we shuffle up for our third game?
Yeah, somebody wants to know if you can name the band that sings Final Countdown.
Oh, God.
It's, oh my God, I know this.
It isn't it?
Oh, I thought Ross just knew automatically.
I would have thought so, too. I thought he was going to be staring at me, wide-eyed, like, you don't know this? Isn't it like... Oh, God, I cannot remember.
Neither can I.
Europe.
Okay. Gotcha. That's a tough one. But it's not going to be as tough as the game that we're going to get back to playing next week. And that's what's in Historic. We got Historic Jumpstart coming out next week. So we're going to try to really put Rob through the ringer and try to see what kind of cards we can mess around with from the digital space and translate them into here. It's going to be a lot of Rob keeping track of Perpetual, doing a lot of randoming.
Not doing it.
Rob said he's in, so I think we should try it. And then we can, of course, play everyone's favorite game, what's in Historic.
I'm on vacation next week.
Are you? Okay, yeah. Okay.
This just in, news bulletin.
This just in. Perfect.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah. All right, let's battle. I'm guessing you would like to go first.
Yes, I would like to go first.
Okay, I would like to draw more things. I guess this is acceptable.
I will keep my hand.
I gotta actually decide if this is acceptable. Yeah, I'll keep.
Yeah, I will play an island and pass the turn.
Okay. We'll untap. I will take 2, go to 18, and I'll play Serum Visions.
That's fine.
Draw, scry 2. Probably want both of these magic cards in this order. Okay, pass to you.
On your end step, I'll cycle Architect's Will.
Okay. Wow, you found a cycler on turn 1? God, you're so lucky.
I try. I will take 2 for the Steam Vents.
Okay.
18 all, pass the turn.
I will copy you. I'll go to 16. And I'll play Soul Guide Lantern.
I will cycle Architects of Will.
Okay.
Soul Guide Lantern is fine.
I'll hit Architect of Will. No, not the other one. And then what do I want to do? I think I can safely just say go since I know what's on top. Yeah, I'll pass to you.
Cycle Street Wraith.
Okay.
16 all.
16 all, tie game.
Play Forest and pass.
Okay. On tip. Draw. I'm going to play a Serum Visions.
That's fine.
And draw a scry. All right. Top. I'll take 2.
You're 14.
And I'll pass to you.
On your end step, I will activate Waker of Waves.
Okay. Okay. You don't have to show the card you put in your hand, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Then I will cycle Riverwinder.
Okay.
Go to my turn.
You got it. A little bit of a different game here.
Yeah. Activate Waker of Waves.
You got it.
Play Misty Rainforest and pass the turn.
I'll pass to you.
End step, cycle Riverwinder.
Okay.
Pass the turn.
End step, I'll draw 2 magic cards.
You have 5 in hand?
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
1, 2. Untap. Draw. Then I will play a Dragon Rage Channeler.
Sure.
I'm going to cast a Serum Visions. Trigger.
So rail trigger's fine.
Top.
Sure.
Think I'm fine putting just this one on top. this on the bottom. Play a Fiery Islet. And I'll pass to you.
Play Botanical Sanctum and pass.
I'm going to do nothing.
That's what I like to hear.
Let's start with a expressive iteration trigger.
The trigger's fine.
I'll keep it on top.
I will force a negation the iteration.
I'll dispute that trigger.
Trigger's fine.
Top.
Fetch and response, go to 15.
Okay.
I will get a Steam Vents and go to 13 and dispute your dispute.
Dispute my dispute, eh? All right, fine. You win. I won't iteration. But I will. Attack for 1 damage point.
I'll go to 12.
I'll pass to you.
End step, I'll go to 11.
Okay.
You got a tap breeding pool.
Okay.
You got 5 in hand?
It's a weird game. Yeah, 5.
Yep. I will grief pitching living end. Evoke grief.
Sure. Could counter this or something, but at least this way, if you take one of these, I still have at least one piece of interaction for living end on top of the lantern, and hope that's enough. Or I at least could thought scour and try to find something else if you do take all my pieces. Yeah, I should fetch before this. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Doesn't change too much, but just because if you take Flusterstorm and then I fetch, then
You did a 13?
yeah, 13 to 11, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That one's not happening. I will take the counterspell
Counterspell's gone.
and pass the turn.
End step, I'll Thought Scour myself. Trigger.
In response, I'll cycle Riverwinder.
Okay.
You're good.
Trigger. Dang it. All right, so 2, draw, untap. We are delirious. Okay, now let's go with Dash Ragavan.
Sure.
Declare.
Yep.
For 5.
I go to 6.
I'll get a treasure. Give me that sweet top card. Okay. Then I'll pass to you. Or actually, sorry. I'm going to cast a Ragavan and Legend Rule. I already had one in graveyard, so maybe that was stupid, but whatever.
Oh, I'll activate Waker Waves.
Okay. You've been doing a lot of things this game. They just haven't done anything. And it is just really showing the dominance of this card in this matchup. It's made you play in such a weird way. I'm sure you were close multiple times to sneaking in 2 or 3 creatures or something like that. But it takes a lot to get around this card.
Let's do this other way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's taking quite a bit.
Yep.
I will evoke a grief, exiling the architects.
Okay, I think it's basically the same scenario as last time. So yeah.
Wow.
This is what we call, to quote my commentating buddy, Aililoni, is a handful of nope. It's a handful of no thank you. Yeah.
Now I'm just dead.
Yeah.
I was going to be able to take the Archmage's Charm, play Shardless Age, or actually,
Yeah,
I can still
the heck out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, because this counters the living end, right?
Well, I can just counter the living end, right? I'm just going to counter the living end.
Give me a 6. How can I live?
Oh, you're definitely just going to live, but... Like, I'm not even going to counter living end with this, because living end kills my stuff. I'm going to counter it, and I'm going to save this. Because I don't want to lose Channeler here. That's the main thing. Ragavan's no big deal. You can deal with that. But, yeah, I just want to counter living end at this point, and keep leaving this as a backup plan.
Yeah, but there's just no way that I can resolve. Like, I wanted to leave myself outs. That was my goal with this turn. But with the counter spell now being drawn, I just don't have outs.
Yeah, you do. You take this, I counter it, you leave Flusterstorm, and then you can just pay for it, right?
Well, no, I've played too many spells.
Next turn, leave yourself outs for next turn. Like then, because you can just play for if you draw another Cascade thing.
Yeah. So take Archmage's Charm.
Yeah.
And then pass, and then what am I?
Or no, you have to play that.
Yeah.
You have to play it. I have to counter.
No,
so,
you just let this resolve and Flusterstorm the living end, and then you still have counter.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. I forgot
Flusterstorm. You don't care if he's trade. You put me to 3.
Yeah, I totally forgot. Flusterstorm is going to be live for me this turn.
Yes, exactly. That's.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
Oh, that probably would have helped too. Yeah, it is. I didn't even have any pressure. My hand was just a bunch of Serum Visions, a bunch of counter spells. Didn't even have the Lantern yet. And I'm just like, yeah, it's fine because if I just hold up counterspell, even one Flusterstorm is going to delay you until like turn 6, for you to comfortably do it. Or Violent Outburst, Force. No, that doesn't do it because Flusterstorm just gets around Force. That's the whole big thing.
Yeah. I think I shouldn't have used my Dispute. I think I should have saved that, let your iteration resolve.
Yeah, I didn't really need that.
Yeah, I just didn't think I thought I was going to end up having to find another Cascade card. I wasn't going to have mana to use it.
Yeah.
So I figured I might as well get some value out of it later. But you just ended up having too much, and especially with the Soul Guide Lantern, if you're not going to put me under pressure, the idea is I'm eventually going to find Foundation Breaker, force you to pop it, and then start to rebuild, and not have to worry about it. That never happened. You drew 3 Soul Guide Lanterns to my 0 Foundation Breakers, which is just the way the cards go. So instead, that was just a live card the entire game.
I only drew 1 Lantern. I only drew 1 Lantern.
You put 1 in the graveyard with your Thought Scour.
Yeah.
and then you had the other one on top of your deck.
I had not drawn that.
The game was going to continue.
I had not drawn that, and I put it into the graveyard. That's not drawing it. Can I get a judge's ruling? Is putting cards into the graveyard drawing them, Rob?
No.
No, okay. Is this just Ross trying to complain about something non-existent?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Saw a lot more Soul Guidelines.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The words rhyme, they're the same. That's how the language works.
I like it. Take us into our third match there, Ross.
Okay.
Take us into the third one.
So far, not a great showing for the Cascade decks. They've been pretty vulnerable to the hate. We haven't really seen them be really resilient through that. Flusterstorm being a really big one from both of our test decks.
Yeah.
So match 3 is actually going to be a pseudo mirror between the two Cascade decks. We'll see which one comes out on top between Living End and Crashcade, because these decks are both pretty popular right now.
Yeah.
The Crashcade decks were both the final spots in the Hunter Burton event. The Living End was undefeated through a run to win the PTQ. So those are the two biggest events of the weekend.
And beat Wafatafa in the finals, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Impressive. And you're going to be seeing a little bit more of that Thursday, a little spoiler, because we were a little fancy to that deck. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
we're going to take a 5-minute break, get that last match set up, and see who can take it down between the two losers of the first two matchups, which are the two Cascade decks. So
great day for Cascade.
Yeah, great day. But that's going to be for the marbles, which is more important than anything else. So you're not going to want to miss it. We'll be back in 5 minutes. See you then. Hello and welcome back to Versus Live. I'm Ross Merriam.
And I'm Corey Baumeister.
And we've got Rob in the booth. Say what's up, Rob.
What's up, Rob?
Rob will be taking all of your questions, comments, concerns, and burns in the chat. Make sure to tag at Star City Games so he can see them and send his favorites over to us. It is Cascade Day on Versus Live, as we've been saying all day, and that means we're going to be talking about the wonderful Cascade Mountains in the Pacific Northwest, and how the impending eruption of Mount Rainier is going to murder us all.
Yeah, that's a big issue.
Yeah,
and
very scary.
Let's break it down, okay? Yeah.
So there's a lot of liquid hot magma under the surface.
Magma.
Of Mount Rainier.
Have you been saving that line for like a day and a half or?
Several hours.
Okay, good job. I'm proud of you.
I like how we often.
I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to think of a Cascade joke the whole time too, and I could not think of one.
Yeah, well,
so I'm proud of
your
you.
Achilles heel of geography.
Yes. Oh, you got me. You got me again.
I guess the Cascade dishwasher tablets.
That's true. That's true.
Could have made a dishwasher joke somehow.
That is a big hot topic issue amongst a lot of people. So,
I really don't like those streaks that the regular.
Yeah, like the fact that we don't have a dishwasher.
Yeah, I don't know. Volcanic eruptions that could kill us all. Clean dishes.
One's a little bit more immediate of a problem.
That's true.
The other, that's way down the road. It could be next week. It could be in 100,000 years. No one really knows.
That's future Corey, Rob, and Ross's problems. Is
it's also 2,000 miles away, right?
Yeah. Lava can't get that far. We all know that.
All the ash it spews into the air definitely won't affect our climate at all.
No. Absolutely not.
That's not how that works.
And we're getting off course. How about we cascade back into this conversation here?
It's the final match of our Cascade Gauntlet, essentially mini gauntlet here. And neither Cascade deck has a win, but that's going to end here. They're in a pseudo mirror. Corey playing the 4-color Crashing Footfalls deck. I'll be playing Living End. I think if these decks were to be built as linearly as possible, the Living End deck is more powerful.
Yeah.
So you have to become the disruptive deck. Right?
I think so, yeah.
And you have good tools to do that, particularly the Splash, Teferi, stopping Cascade, incredibly important here. So that's definitely the most important card on I think, from my thinking, you've got some good sideboard cards with Endurance as Graveyard Hate too. That's another great piece of interaction. But in general, if the games go non-interactive, I'm going to be favored. If the games are heavily interactive, then you're definitely going to be favored.
Yep. Nope. I would agree. I think the first two games pre-board are going to be slightly favored to you, and then post-board slightly favored to me. So I think these first games are going to be
better lock
important.
These marbles up real quick.
All right, let's battle.
All again to 3. All again to 3.
Jim was doing that all last week and still winning, but...
Oh, he was doing it to me, but then he was the one who mulliganed and lost.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was doing it with Tron, though, so he was doing just fine.
Yeah.
God, it's a surprisingly good hand. Like, if this was my Multi 5, I would keep it. These cards are not good, but I think I still might try to keep this one. What do you think?
I think
first,
you
right?
should. Oh yeah, yeah. I guess I did lose it. I was so used to being on the draw every game. I'm keeping my hand. My hand's great.
Okay. I think I can do better. That is not what I want to start with. Although the rest of my hand was quite good.
Just let me living in, bounce my wakers. It'll be fine. That sounds like a great plan.
Yeah, I was already pretty much mulligan to 5 there, so I think it is a little bit better to ship that one. So
yeah, the hand had a lot of dead cards, and now it's gone.
Oh, wow, very nice. Very nice.
That should be the clip of the day. Right
There we go. That's the first joke of yours I've ever liked in my entire life. So you're
You're still batting 0, so
Oh, dang it.
Who's ahead now?
I am on the draw, so I think I am going to keep this one. And I'm going to put this bad card on the bottom.
Okay, I will lead with Sanctum, Cycle Curator,
Okay.
and I will pass the turn.
Okay, I will draw. Not great. I'll play Misty, and I'll pass to you.
Okay, I will play a Spire Bluff Canal. I will cycle a Street Wraith, go to 18.
Okay.
And then I will activate Waker of Waves.
Okay, activate away.
Look in the top 2. Let's, It's a tough one, actually.
Okay.
That is a tough one, but I think we got to go for that one.
Alrighty.
And then I will pass the turn.
All right. I will draw a magic card. I will play the Scolding Tarn, and I'll pass to you. Is it time?
I'll cycle a Street Wraith, go to 16.
Okay, I'm winning. Just whoever's ahead now, we'll just call it for the marbles, okay?
Does that mean I get to go home and take a nap?
It sure does, yep.
I'm in favor.
Don't worry, we all take mini naps when Ross shuffles anyways. We all got time.
I will cycle Riverwinder.
Okay.
I will evoke a Grief, pitching Architects of Will.
Okay. I'll show you that I need a little help off the top.
I will select your Teferi,
That probably makes sense.
and then I will play a Botanical Sanctum and pass the turn.
All right, I'm going to sack one land here to get a Triome,
So that'll put you to 19.
and I'll leave the other one uncracked to increase the odds that I draw a land. I had 3 lands on the top, so I'll just not shuffle if you don't mind. Yeah, my hand was a little risky, but I had the Teferi. It's my best card. I had some forces to interact, so felt the need to keep it.
Yeah, I think especially on 6, or were you on 7 or 6?
I was
keep it.
already on 6. Well, it was a 1-lander, but I just so happened to draw 2 lands back to back. So I'll crack this. And it doesn't matter too much as far as
you probably want to get white mana in case you draw the other Teferi.
That's a good point.
So
Yeah.
I'm guessing Hallowed Fountain here
Blue, white,
is
green.
the play.
Yep. Let's do that.
So 16 all.
Can do Sacred Foundry as well, but that
you want
is pretty
double blue.
stupid. Yep. All
Double
right.
blue. Yeah, 3 double blue cards in your hand. You probably want to get a blue
Yeah.
card.
Okay, I'll play cast Shardless Agent.
Casting Shardless Agent.
Yep.
That is fine. You'll get your rhinos.
Hooray! Well, first I got to hit Crashing Footfalls.
Yeah. It's up in the air. It could have hit. It could have any card. What are the odds that Crashing Footfalls is the top card?
I know. These Rhino
under
players
0.
are so lucky.
Have you looked at
really.
modern curves these days? Like it's all 2s, 1s, and 0s. It could be anything. You
Yeah.
could hit like a Mishra's Bauble, a Ragavan, and yet you hit Crashing Footfalls. It's just so lucky to do that every time.
I'm quite good.
I will take 2, go to 14,
Okay.
and I will pass the turn and stop you on your upkeep.
I'll hold.
I will cast a Violent Outburst and trigger Cascade.
Okay. Your Cascade resolves.
Oh, wrong black card. There we go. Again, very lucky to hit living end. That's what I wanted.
I will cast Force.
Oh, man. Why don't you just pitch them like they're free usually?
They're not free.
You should play them for free. I'll pitch Force to that and still cycle this with that on the stack.
You're such a jerk.
Oh, God, I'll cycle this too. I'll go to 12.
All right, in that case, I'll pitch mine. Yeah.
So I'm at 12.
Okay.
Your Force is exiled.
Yeah.
Now can't cast the other one.
You're right. And now I'm very dead.
I have one grief trigger. I will select, I don't know, Shardless Agent. That seems fine.
Well, that seemed impossible. But if you didn't have Violent Outburst and you just had Shardless Agent, you were dead.
Yes. I was very lucky to have the Outburst there. Otherwise, your hand was going to be great.
Yeah.
And I would have, but the Outburst there, we both had double Force, but my Cascade card was an instant and yours wasn't.
Yeah. And my opening hand may have seemed kind of insane as a keep. Of course, I got lucky, but I still honestly stick by it. It was one land, double Shardless Agent, double Force to Fairy, and another blue card, Brazen Bar. So if I draw lands, that hand has a chance to win. It shuts down Shardless Agent. You have to have Violent Outburst, and eventually, I'll find my third land, and it worked out perfectly. But I still just didn't have a chance since you had Force and Violent,
and Grief. I kind of need everything.
And right? Grief wasn't the biggest deal. Like,
I got to take the Teferi.
Yeah, but you could have forced it.
But then I can't beat your Force. If I have to force your Teferi, then then your Force is good regardless of whether I have.
True. Yeah. So of course that did help as well. But yeah. Still pretty tough.
Yeah, like your draw worked out. It just happened that my draw was very good. Yeah. And like we said, we said if the matchups are non-interactive, in that case, my hand was good enough to just play through your interaction. Which can happen. I've got with Grief and Force Negation, I have some counterplay, and it just happened to line up really well.
Yeah.
So in that case, your interaction didn't work, which means we're effectively playing a non-interactive game. And
So you're saying you just want to go to sideboard to interact, right?
You know what? I kind of liked how that went. I made a lot of creatures.
Okay.
You got to do your thing. You got to Cascade. I got to Cascade. That seems fair. Everybody just gets to do their thing and be happy.
It is Cascade deck. We both did our thing. You're right. You're right. You're still a jerk, but I'll agree. So, all right, I'm in. I'm going to be on the play this time. Oh, another incredibly awkward hand. Don't know what more I'm really hoping for, though. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. I'm not happy about it.
Ooh, this hand. I have. I think this hand just needs too much help.
Okay.
I need lands. I've got some draws towards the second land, then Waker can presumably get me a third, but I have the Sorcery Speed Shardless Agent. I don't have a black card for Grief. Force of Negation isn't very good in the hand with Shardless Agent at protecting it. I think I can just miss on too many different things here.
Yeah, I would have kept for sure.
Yeah, I know you would have kept. and you would have missed. Okay.
Yeah, third one would have hit. And then Master. But that's the thing. You have 3 draws at hitting land 2, and then your hand is set.
I would have actually hit everything.
Yeah.
I literally was going to hit 2 lands, black card, Violent Outburst.
Yeah, I mean, Master does that kind of manipulation. I just think that was a good hand on the draw. You mull on the play, and you keep on the draw on that, in my opinion. But
it's close. I could definitely see keeping it.
Yeah.
But, if you miss the land drop or miss it, I could see even missing the third land drop too.
Yeah.
Waker only gets you 2 cards.
But you had 2 Wakers. So you just Waker, you're not missing your third land drop once you hit land 2,
I just feel pretty far, there's so many things you can do.
Not really.
I think I would keep that hand in a matchup where I'm really just, if I hit my lands, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
But in a matchup where you have fairies and counter spells of your own that I have to worry about.
And you had Force as well.
Yeah, but my Force, I had Shardless Agent, so my Force isn't going to be good against your Force.
Yeah, but Force is good against Teferi is the main thing. You would have been able to counter a Teferi. So yeah, I think you're all wrapped up there. But I do agree it's somewhat close.
I'm wrapped up if I hit everything, which I did.
Yeah.
This hand has a lot of things going for it. We'll put this living end on the bottom.
Okay. I'll take 3, get a breeding pool, and suspend. I'm doing Rhino things.
That's an interesting play in this matchup.
I know. I was like, this actually could be good. We'll see.
I will play Spirebluff Canal and Cycle Curator of Mysteries.
Okay.
And then I will pass the turn.
Okay. That's at 3. I have a land, and I'll pass to you.
I'll evoke a Grief, pitching a Street Wraith.
Well, that's kind of a bummer. I think I know what you're probably gonna take, but yeah, there you go.
I will select Force of Negation.
Good call.
And then I will play Scalding Tarn, not tap, and pass the turn.
2 to you.
I'm at 18.
All right. It's not an adventure. This is down to 2. Yeah. All right. Shardless Agent.
Cascade Trigger.
I probably have some rhinos. Rhinos.
Resolves.
Pass to you.
And step, I'll crack this Tarn, get a tapped breeding pool.
Okay.
Wherever it might be.
Man, this matchup game 1 feels bad. Like, I'm just, I know this is not going to be a great line. It's just kind of all I have to do.
Yeah, you're just doing the only options you have.
Yeah.
So I'll be at 17.
Okay.
And you'll be at 17. And I will take 2 to 15 for a Steam Vents.
Okay.
And yeah, I will Shardless Agent of my own.
Okay.
Living End. There it is.
There it is.
So I'm going to get a Grief and a Curator and take a look at your hand.
All right. I'm actually pretty happy about Grief this time.
Puts Fury into the graveyard.
Yep.
And then I will pass the turn.
Yeah, and you get to keep your Shardless Agent too, which is pretty lame. So now I can play a 4/3, which isn't great. But I do think it's better than anything else I got going on right now. So yeah, 4/3, your go.
Okay, let's send in for 7.
13.
Puts you to 10, right? You fetch shocked at one
Yep,
point?
you're right.
Yeah, so
10.
we got 10 to 15.
Yep.
And you have 1 card in hand?
1 card.
And the football's coming off next turn.
Got some rhinos coming next turn.
I will pass the turn.
I'll crack to 9. Like to be able to get Hollowed Fountain here in case I top deck Teferi, but that's not possible. So I'll get a Triome. All right. Untap upkeep, a Rhino.
I will force a negation.
Yep. And then I will draw. Interesting draws for sure.
They got to be good ones.
They're not awful. They're not great. I'm going to...
Stomp my Shardless Agent.
Kind of. I'm going to
Yes.
fire Grief.
Yeah, definitely kill Grief instead.
I'm going to Petty Theft this. And I'll get aggressive.
I go to 11.
Past you.
Oh, those are pretty good.
Not bad. Still going to be a tricky game. I didn't think it'd come down to our 3-drops battling the old-fashioned way. That is the one thing that I do really like about like the Grixis Death Shadow deck is it relies on the graveyard for some element of the deck, but not completely. So, you know, Lantern just doesn't cold shut it down like that. You can still just Death Shadow them or Ragavan them, where these decks are a little susceptible to those kind of hate cards.
Huh. So I have 2 ways I can play this now. I can try to dig for another Cascade card.
Okay.
Or I can just try to play...
Mopey Creatures?
Yeah, play the Mopey Creature game.
Mopey Creatures.
It's a little awkward, the numbers here, because Corey actually has a 2-turn clock with just Bone Crusher attack for 4, play Brazen Bar, or attack for 7.
Yep.
So I would love an extra life point, but I don't have it.
Too bad. No life points for you.
And I have awkwardly drawn a lot of 4-mana creatures and not a 4th land. I'm attacking you for 7. Or attacking you 2/7, I should say.
Yep.
I play this, and then I guess I still then get to have more. I think I just have more options playing it this way, so I'm going to attack for 2.
I'm down to 7.
And then I will pass the turn.
Okay. Untap upkeep.
You're good.
I'll attack.
I will go to 7.
I'll pass to you.
On your end step, I will play Brazen Borrower.
Brazy Bee of your own, eh? Interesting. Do I try to Brazen Borrower and block? Try to resolve it now, maybe? Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, go to my turn?
Yep.
And now I really just want to find out what the card in Corey's hand is, so I'll evoke a Grief, pitching Architects of Will.
Okay, I will...
Violent Outburst would be the worst for me. That's what I don't want to see.
It's not quite that bad. It is a fire. I think I want to go 1/1.
And puts me to 6.
Yep. Grief resolves. Yeah, that was a tricky little card. I was hoping to be able to Brazen Bar and then tap down a blocker if you went like Curator, but that did run afoul of running right into a Force, so I didn't necessarily want to cast Fire and Ice during my turn anyways, but...
That extra point is also awkward because I drew a Shock Land.
Yeah, yeah, that is nice. This is a weird game.
Yeah, I'm going to go to 4 and play Curator.
Okay.
And do I want to attack for 2 and risk dying to... you have 4 mana, so I don't die to a Fury.
Yep.
I just die to a Brazen Borrower.
Or an Ice.
Or Brazen Borrower Ice. They're pretty bad draws for me regardless. I think I'm willing to take the risk.
Okay.
Because I think I'm unlikely to win if you draw one of those cards.
I'll go to 5.
Yeah.
Done.
Yep.
It's an interesting one. I would rather have your flyer dead. Yep. It's not that interesting, and I'll pass to you.
Okay. Now I feel a lot better. Attack for 2.
Okay, I'm down to 3.
I've got another Curator.
Uh-oh.
And that'll handle the Borrower, and even if you draw an answer to it, I'm not dead.
So now I do think I want to just...
I don't think you want to crack the fetch.
I think I kind of feel like I need to, because if I top deck Teferi, but Teferi doesn't get me out of it, so I don't think Teferi is in the out, so maybe you're right.
Yeah.
I just want to try to cascade.
Do you have an island, right?
I would imagine.
So I'm thinking your big out on 5 mana is Fury.
Is Fury,
Because,
yeah.
kill here and have a blocker. And if you have an island, then you can just get an island.
Yeah, you're right. I'll just play this.
Yep.
Well, I'll pass to you.
Activate Waker Waves.
Okay.
I would like to declare tax.
Sure.
So what am I worried about here once you let me declare? The 2 damage spells aren't that relevant. Brazen Borrower doesn't kill me, right? Because you'd bounce here, take 2, go to 1. You can't ever block it, so you can't cast Borrower. Can I beat Violent Outburst? You would just then have 8 trample plus this. So I would take, so I can't beat Violent Outburst. So if you want to
good news.
Yeah, if that's what you have, I'm just dead.
Okay.
You can just show,
I'll wait till you attack and then I'll cast it.
I'm literally telling you, just show it to me.
I'd rather just cast it when you attack.
So if I'm just wondering if there's any way I lose by attacking. If you have Stomp, you still have to block here, go to 1. I think you would then just finish this off with the Stomp, because then you'd have the 4/3 to block here, rather than trying to top deck another burn spell. So I don't lose to Stomp. I don't lose to Fire.
Just attack. You know you're going to attack.
I don't lose to Brazen Borrower.
You know you're going to attack. Just attack. Okay, I'll block.
Okay, you take 2, go to 1.
Yeah.
Pass turn.
I will draw. And that won't do it. I found out there was an island that last turn, just shardless, but
Because I wakered,
that was the opposite order.
I wakered into Violent Outburst, and now I'm thinking, like, okay, I've got a great follow-up, so I just really don't want to die.
Yeah.
Because it seemed better with just taking an Architects. But
Yeah. GG. Yeah, man, game 1 seems rough here for the Rhino side. Just not great. You have a lot of cards that are really dead with all the red removal, but that's just how Living End operates. I think it operates under the same kind of vein as Dredge, where it has these great game 1s because the normal cards that you have to interact with Ragavan do not interact with that deck at all, and you have to be prepared for Ragavan, you know?
Yeah, I do think there was a little bit of positive variance where I think if you switch the draws, like I think your game 1 draw beats my game 2 draw, and I don't think you have a draw that beats my game 1 draw. So you'd rather have your worst draw against that.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, that's how you take a favorable matchup and win both games instead of splitting them.
Yeah.
That kind of, like, it would be negative variance to have them line up in your favor, negative variance for me. So that's just kind of the way it lined up in those 2 games. But I agree, like, there's a certain set of draws for me, and you saw one of them in game 1 that you're just not really beating.
Yeah.
I just had you had all of your disruption, and I had answers to all of it.
Yeah, that was
maybe
disgusting.
if you had like second Teferi also in hand and drew the land when you only had 2 Teferis in your deck, which is
pretty unlikely.
Yeah, very unlikely. But so you need me to have not my top 5 or 10% of draws. You need to have a pretty good draw of your own, and then they have them line up, and that's not a recipe for a good match.
Or just in the normal world, one pre-board game heading to post-board, we're going to see a lot more about post-board. If I go and I think I'm going to be more favored, but it depends by how much. If I'm all of a sudden 70% favored, I like this matchup. But if we're doing 2 pre-board games because that's our formatting for this show, I like your chances a lot with this kind of deck. So we'll see how it goes post-board and see what we'll be doing. So
make some judgments about the matchup in a regular environment.
Exactly. So we're going to have some hate cards coming in for each other. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with sideboarding here on Versus Live. All right, everybody, welcome back to Cascade Day. We are sideboarding between Teamer Cascade and Living End. On my end, bringing in, it's another product of wanting to get these cards out. All my red cards are awful. And honestly, I'm trying to think of like any good reactive red card And I don't think any of them are good against Living End. Like, none of them. None that I can truly think of. You know, all the proactive Ragavan channelers, those are great. But all the reactive ones are pretty bad against this strategy. So I'm taking out all of these. Pretty easy on that. Bringing in Endurance, excellent. Bringing in Teferi, excellent. Disputes, not as good, but just a product of wanting to get these out.
Yeah, and I've got counter spells too, so we'll fight some counter wars.
Yeah.
Speed should be okay. Also good if we get down to that part of the game where I'm casting creatures. Most of the creatures are blue.
Yeah.
Like, trading 1 mana for my 4 mana curator is really nice.
That's true. That's true.
On my side, I'm going to be on the draw, so the Gemstone Caverns comes in. I just sort of chose a non-fetch land / fetchable land at random because I didn't want to screw with the balance.
And you didn't want to add a land, I imagine.
Yeah, I didn't want to add a land, so I have to cut one of the fast lands here. Then I am bringing in a couple Mystical Disputes to fight counter wars, as well as counter Teferis, and then a couple Subtleties because this is a very good card against Endurance, so I can stop that. Also can stop Teferi for a turn if I have it all rolled up for next turn.
Whoa. You already have your first subtle upgrade. You cannot be doing other subtle things, That's
but this is not an upgrade. This is just a subtle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thanks for clearing that up.
I'm going to try trimming some Griefs here. Corey and I have been discussing it. We think Grief gets worse when your opponents have a lot of disruption where you have to 2-for-1 yourself and you're just taking, often we saw it in match 2, I could take one of your 3 counter spells and then you just have the option of casting the other ones.
Yeah.
So I want my disruption to force you to commit mana, and Subtlety and Mystical Dispute are both good at that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I'm not boarding down on total disruption. I'm just changing some of it, cutting a couple of my worst cyclers. When I'm trimming on Grief, I don't have to worry about having as many black cards. So Architects just becomes the worst creature to cycle into.
And it is different for a couple reasons in this matchup, so I'm not even 100% sure our logic is the same, but because one of the big differences that Grief in the last match, there's a lot of counter spells, sure, but there was Flusterstorm last time, so you have to almost always take that. Because it's such a good card against your Cascade strategy. There's no Flusterstorm here, so maybe it's not as important. Not sure. That's one of the subtle differences that I'm not really sure how to evaluate on.
Yeah, it's a tough thing because you just think Grief is such a good card in this deck, and you're right, it is, but you can't cut too much from the cycling engine, and then in certain matchups, the counter spells are just better disruption. And you've got to realize that, then move away from the Grief package. And so I think in this case, this is just another counterspell matchup. So even though Flusterstorm isn't there, or especially, I guess, because Flusterstorm isn't there, we want to be just forcing you to commit mana and then fighting counter wars and hopefully winning them. You're also not putting me under a ton of pressure unless you go for a fast Cascade, and then you leave yourself open to an immediate
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky dance. I have some more tools at least to work with. I could go for a fast Cascade and then have an Endurance backup, and it's what do you do against Endurance on turn 3 when you have to use your 3 mana? I don't think you have a great plan for that.
Subtlety.
Yeah, good point. We're just playing, Hearthstone here. Free spells.
It just took a while for everybody to figure out how to use the free spells.
Yeah, that's true. All right, good start. Oh, yeah. Okay, it did get a little better. But not by a ton.
My hand could be anything, so I'm going to keep.
That is true. I'll keep as well.
Okay, you're on the play.
All right, I have a land, and I'll pass to you.
I was very ready to draw Gemstone Caverns there as my first draw.
Of course, yeah.
I did not.
I will crack this. I will get my Triome.
You're at 19.
Triome. I love fetching Triomes on turn 1. It's so fulfilling.
I gotta say, I'm a little surprised at how ubiquitous they've been in Modern. They've really helped out a lot of mana bases.
They really have. All right, I will play a Misty, and I'll pass to you.
Okay, in step, I'll cycle a Riverwinder.
Okay.
I was really hoping that would have been the Gemstone Cavern.
Me too.
Play another Sanctum and pass the turn.
All right, I will crack this.
Brings you to 18.
Yep. And I will get a Hollowed Fountain tapped. $18, all untap, all draw. Then I will play an island, and I'll pass to you.
Okay. On your end step, I will activate Waker of Waves.
Yep, you got it.
2 cards. Let's put that one into the graveyard. This one in my hand. Go to my turn.
Yep.
Then I will take 2 damage.
Okay.
Go to 18.
Okay.
18 all, and I will pass the turn.
All right. End step, I'm going to Prismari Command, loot and treasure for me.
Loot and treasure for you.
For moi.
That is fine.
Okay. I will draw 2. Gonna discard these 2.
Discards 2 lands.
Get a treasure. Untap.
Yep.
Draw. I'm gonna play a land. And I'll pass to you.
No. Play.
No play.
Right. On your end step, all violent outburst. Cascade.
Cascade is fine.
Cast Living End.
I will dispute it. The old 3-mana leak.
I will force of negation your dispute, pitching a Brazen Borrower.
I'll respond by sacking this.
You go to 17.
Yep. I can just get a mountain.
Just got a mountain.
All right. I will respond with the all-powerful ice targeting Botanical Sanctum.
Sure.
I'm dead. Yeah.
19 power. I went for it because I also had subtlety. So if you had endurance plus counterspell, I had you beat, but 2 counterspells I couldn't beat.
Yeah.
But if you do that, then I just start slamming 4-drops and like hope that's good enough.
Yeah. No, I just had Charlotte Agent. I didn't have the Prismari command. But yeah, I just had this for interaction. My hand was extremely land heavy, but with the Prismari command, I figured I'd get the loot. So the command was pretty important to me, but I still just didn't draw that great. Was hoping to get an endurance there to be able to hit your graveyard with Charlotte Agent, but yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, this seemed like a
way to smell it out to go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of combinations of things beat. Needed to be double counterspell.
Did you have any more?
No, I had 2 more lands in my hand too, so my hand like wasn't great. I didn't really have a great way to find more stuff. I had 1 more cycler.
Yeah.
And that cycler was a key blue card that I needed to pitch anyway.
Okay.
So it just didn't feel like it was getting better for me. And if you had to use a bunch of resources, like playing that counter war, then maybe my 4/4 flyers afterwards are good.
Yeah.
Though if you win the war after I play all my counter spells, like if you go endurance, I subtlety it, then you counter, then I force, then you counter. If you had 3 counters, then I would have just been left with nothing.
You just left with nothing. Yeah. But yeah, as it stands, that was just well played, and it lined up pretty well to mine, and maybe mine was a little bit of a loose goose of a keep. It was just 5-land dispute Prismari command on the play, but once again up against a grief deck, I figured I had the turn 3 unlock. If you like Chartless Agent on your turn, and if not, I had Prismari command. I was hoping you didn't go for it there, but it's risky to go for it there because if I have force, you have no protection.
Yeah,
so that's why I figured I was going to be safe. Yeah, but that would have got me pretty good too. But we got time for a pity game. Marbles are going to be yours. Congrats. You've taken the marbles from me for the first time in a long time. And
I'm on a roll now.
You're on a roll. Now begins where I lose the next 2 months in a row. It's just how it works.
Corey didn't catch my roll pun with marbles.
Yeah. Please. Yeah, nobody actually plays marbles, so that's why nobody got that joke.
Yeah, no one actually
People knows that that's a game. Yeah. Marbles is just those things that, everybody's grandpa and grandmother just has in the corner, and they're like, oh, that's cool. I have a PlayStation. It's way cooler,
In my case, because I'm old, it's my father who had the marbles, not my father.
Yes.
I also got to play with his Lincoln Logs when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I played a lot of old toys.
And now that you're old, you've also lost your marbles, metaphorically speaking, but...
I lose them to you a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Just anytime we hang out.
Yeah, Corey is the reason I've lost my marbles.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit of hair too. It's probably all because of me. Usually it's like, parents that say they lose hair because of their kids. I think it's just because of me.
Do you think Corey would keep this hand, Rob?
I'll keep.
Let the record say he said yes.
So would I. On the draw, you have 3 looks at it. All right, maybe I wouldn't keep that one. Yeah, that one's a little bit of a loose goose, but
That's 100% one because this game
you didn't have a
doesn't matter.
master, right?
You would ask me and be like, should
Yeah.
I keep this? I'd say yes, then you'd keep it. And then you'd somehow still beat Ross because that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, or I would lose and I'd blame you. That's the story
that
arc
would be
that we'd
fair,
have there. Yeah,
Always important to get your complaint equity.
exactly. That's how I
That's
live
what
my
you
life.
get for taking advice from the number 3 competitive Magic player in the world.
That's true. That's true.
Number 4. Croaky's is number 1.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he's not here, so.
Yeah. Number 3 competitive Magic player in this room.
Croaky's is everywhere. He's in our hearts.
You're right, I forgot that.
Oh man, this is now Croaky's live.
Yeah.
How much do you think we'd have to pay him to get him on Versus Live? He's got to be too big time for us,
the
right?
flight from Scotland alone is going to be quite a bit.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. If you want to see Croaky's on the show, tag at Shaheen Sarani and let him know how you feel. Just imagine Shaheen's just having a good old day, eating some cereal, and then he just gets a bunch of tags like, "We would like Croaky's to be on Versus Live." He's just, what the heck? So make it happen, y'all. I like trolling Shaheen from afar. I'll pass.
I like trolling Shaheen from very close up.
Oh, okay, of course. That's my second favorite.
Yeah. I'm going to play Canal and cycle Riverwinder.
Okay.
Then I will cycle Street Wraith.
Okay.
I am at 18.
Okay.
And you're at 19?
I am. I do think that is also the best fast land deck.
And I will pass.
Both the teamer, just all the teamer colors are so great. And it just reminds me of a happier time where Copycat, where that was the mana base for that. Everything cost 3. It was so nice. All right. I am going to go with Foundry tapped. Pass to you.
Okay. I'm going to grief this turn with that Evoke on pitching Living End. See if I can get a Cascade card.
Yeah, nothing I can do about that. Grief is just good.
I will select your Teferi because I can't beat that in a million years.
Okay.
Actually, am I going to select Teferi?
Are you?
I could select...
You better take Braids and Bar.
Actually, you know what? I have to take a Force of Negation.
Okay.
That's awkward.
Okay.
And then pass.
I'm gonna play this, and I'm thinking if what the game looks like if I just say go and I try to dispute things, versus you just having a dispute or another force. I think I just have to jam.
Okay. I will cycle Riverwinder in response.
I like that.
Crack fetch. I'm going to go to 15 and get a Breeding Pool.
Okay. Don't like that.
I will then cycle
I like that.
the 4/4 flyer, whose
Okay.
name I forgot. Curator of Mysteries.
Yep.
There we go.
I like that it's mystery in the name and you forgot it. Then it is indeed a mystery.
Then I will show you my hand of Force of Negation, blue card, land, Chartless Agent.
I can have a force.
Uh-huh.
I can have a force.
Sure, I'm going to jam.
Okay.
I'm going to 13, Chartless Agent.
Why do you have everything perfect all the time? You know what
there it
makes
is.
you the ultimate jerk? If you took Teferi,
Yeah.
you're such a jerk.
It's because I had the Chartless Agent. I was really not set up to beat the Force, but I had the Force for your Teferi, so...
Yeah, I cannot beat that, even if I top deck something. All right, well.
You had top deck Force. You had to top deck the one I took.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying after you take this, I even got Rhinos, but this was not going to be enough.
You can wait a turn, right? And then Teferi with Dispute up the following turn?
I could have, yeah, to play around that.
Well, so I guess the issue is...
Well, then you were just going to force me...
Then I find third land, pass, and force with 3 mana up.
And then I just say,
your
okay.
doesn't target anything.
And then my dispute... And then you actually get to living end as well. So you still get me that way.
Yeah.
That's why I felt like I had to jam, especially when I drew the second one. I was mostly acting because I knew I had to jam. But yeah, it just didn't feel great. And that's the thing is I really like... I think Teferi is a great card. But I think we really... highlighted today that the way to beat these Cascade decks, whether it's that deck or this one, you need pressure. So Ragavan, Channeler, I think are the best cards against it, and then back it up. And of course, Lantern, but and Lantern just colded you that one game. It was kind of an embarrassment that game. But you can't play that card here.
Yeah, you never do an endurance.
Yep.
That's a big thing.
That's true, too.
You need the cheap cards. Like Teferi, I'm able to, overload your mana. You have to tap out for it.
You have Dispute.
Dispute doesn't work that well. So it was the 1 mana cards. It was the Flusterstorms, that's 1 mana and immune to force.
Yeah.
It's the Soul Guide Lantern, that's 1 mana. You can get it down early and then start doing other things with your mana and apply pressure. Whereas in the Crashgate deck, you're not doing a whole lot on the first 2 turns of the game because the nature of your deck means that you can't.
Yeah.
And so you have to just hope you have the pitch spells in your hand so that when you start tapping out on turn 3 and 4, you can back it up with other things.
Yeah.
And in most of the cases, I was able to use my grief to take your pitch spell or have pitch spell of my own to beat yours because I have all that same stuff too. So it seemed just really difficult for you to navigate the game in a way where you're able to just get to like turn 5 or 6 alive.
Yeah.
I think if you're able to do that, you looked pretty good.
Yeah.
But you just weren't really able to do that.
And like the Cascades, they dominated. They won big events this weekend. And maybe it's just the style of the deck. It's just not for me. I'm not the biggest fan. And Rhinos has went through a weird ebb and flow where it's like the best deck to unplayable. Like there's been multiple times where unplayable is a loose stretch, but
it just didn't do well in tournaments.
Exactly. Or it's just really hated out. Like every deck can play EE. Every deck can do that.
Chalice, Void Mirror.
And it's the same with this. Every deck can play Soul Guide Lantern and make this good, but it's recognizing when these are common in sideboards versus when, I think everybody this weekend was distracted by Tron. Tron was really coming back. Elementals was still hanging around a lot. So people were trimming some of those cards, bringing in Ceremonious Rejection, Damping Spheres, and then when you don't have a overloaded amount of hate, whether it be EEs, Chalices, Soul Guide Lanterns, and stuff like that, you can just hope to grief it. You can hope to counter the first one. You can hope to just get lucky and they don't draw it. But when it's just 3 of each in each sideboard, it becomes harder. So I think this next week, as weird as it is, I think these decks are going to be a bad choice. But that's a big scope kind of thing, and a bad choice is still just you could get paired against decks that are good matchups and still win.
And I do think the Crashgate deck is the much more malleable deck. Its return was generally because of a change where the initial lists from weeks ago were playing Subtlety. And they switched to playing Fury and more red cards because the metagame was a lot of cheap creatures and playing to the battlefield.
Elementals, Hammer Time,
Ragavan decks, that was your metagame, and now we're seeing more over the top decks and people react to those.
Yeah.
So I think the Crashgate deck, as it is currently built, will probably be a bad choice for this weekend, but I think you can find builds that would be good.
Yeah.
I think fewer red cards, more blue cards.
And one thing I've been really noticing just in the metagame and in this matchup as well, just from playing a decent amount last night, against these teamer decks, dash those Ragavans. Unless you just, turn 1, you
play it.
You play it. But outside of that, dash the Ragavans a lot, because when you have DRC and then you play Ragavan and they get the 2-for-1 for Fury, those are the games you lose. But if you're just dashing and stuff, Ragavan only costs 1 essentially because it gets a treasure to be doing it and stuff, and I found a lot more success against Teamer. That deck's not as popular, so I haven't played against it yet, but yeah.
So there are things you can do to now mitigate the red cards. People are figuring that out. So I think the Footfalls decks just have to adapt again.
Yeah.
That said, the Living End decks, they don't really have the capability to adapt.
Yeah.
This deck is, these are the cards I'm playing. There's 10 cards that are your answers to opposing hate in the main. And it's Force of Negation, Grief, and the 2 Brazen Borrowers. And they cover you in a lot of different scenarios. There's basically no better cards for those slots, at least in the main deck. You can change the sideboard around a little bit, but you're not sideboarding a ton in every matchup because you're a linear archetype.
Similar to cycling and standard.
Yes,
very
exactly.
Similar, yeah.
So when it comes now where everyone is once again looking at, Cascade decks did really well, I need to be, re-prepare my sideboard to be better in those matchups. It's the Footfalls decks that are going to be able to say, okay, here's how people are preparing for me. Here's how I'm going to sidestep it once again. Whereas the Living End decks are just look and go, oh crap, and fold. Especially because they're also vulnerable to graveyard hate. In addition to all of these anti-Cascade cards that people play like Void Mirror and Chalice the Void and whatnot.
Yeah. So, I like to end the show this way. If you were going into a Modern event, first out of the Cascade decks, what would you play? And then what would you play broad scope?
So, even though I won today with the Living End deck, I think I ran pretty well throughout the course of the day. And for the versatility that the Footfalls deck brings, I would be playing probably a 4-color version. I want Teferi in my deck. I would just have, I would tweak, 3 or 4 cards in the main deck away from red towards more blue cards. Maybe you want some subtleties again, though that's not good. It's not that good in the Cascade matchups, but it's good against a deck like Tron, if that's what people are playing, because, you can put a lot of pressure on them. If you get the ones, if you Charlotte's Agent on 3, and then their turn 3 is like a Karn, or they're on the draw, they have turn forward that Ugin or that Oblivion Stone, and you're able to, I guess you can't hit the O Stone, but you can.
That should just be a great matchup.
Yeah,
Living End, I think, with that many forces.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Footfalls deck.
I think both should be a good matchup against Tron.
You have Force too. So, it just sort of depends on what things people are going to pick up to try to beat Cascade. What is it? Just jamming hate cards in their sideboards, or is the metagame going to shift?
Yeah.
Are we going to see more, fast decks to try to get underneath this bigger metagame? That's usually the cycle that it goes in.
Yeah.
But right now there's a lot of different decks in Modern. It sort of narrowed for a bit, and now it's widened back out as we figured out how to go over the top of the Ragavan decks.
Yeah, it narrowed because there was a point when it looked like, the sky was falling, that you could not beat Ragavan decks. Elementals was the savior to that, and just said, no, I'll beat these decks. It's not that hard.
Yeah, you overload on that cheap red interaction, but now we're seeing decks prey on decks that are overloading on cheap red interaction.
Exactly. So, then Tron comes. Now we're seeing a metagame shift and stuff, and that's healthy. Shows to the thing that I've always been saying, Modern's a self-correcting format.
Yeah, and so if things are going to stay dynamic, I want a deck that is versatile and malleable. So as far as Cascade decks go, it's Crashing Footfalls. As far as other decks go, I definitely like.
Still a Hammer Time guy?
That's another one where, well, if people are going to move away from red removal, then sure.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a metagame choice. I have to look and see where the metagame is going. But if I'm talking about picking a deck and sticking with it for 3 weeks, a month, I'm generally going to be playing a deck that has disruption and cheap creatures and things like that. The Shadow deck looked really cool today. That's definitely one I would look into. And I know it has your seal of approval.
Yeah. I hope it's good. I bought it yesterday. Impulse bought it, so. From some cheap prices from SCG, I just ordered them all. I got to go pick up all the cards here in a bit.
If I'm choosing decks week to week, then this week I think might be a good week to go back to playing Ragavan decks. I think you're going to see less red removal around, like Ragavan DRC kind of mid-range decks. I could see Rakdos making a return, or Grixis builds of that deck doing a lot better as the just sort of wide-ranging applicability of discard in a larger format that ends up being a little bit more valuable. And especially Grixis, you also have Drown on the Lock, which is just a very versatile card.
It's a really good card right now.
And good against Cascade. So I think a Grixis version of that deck that's not even shadowing, but something in the Grixis family would be, I think, a very good choice for this weekend.
Yeah, there's some Grixis kind of control, like more Snapcaster stuff instead of...
It's like the Rakdos deck, but it splashes blue for Expressive Iteration, Drown on the Lock, and Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, it's unreal in Bobble decks how good Expressive Iteration is. Like, I thought that card's just great in Standard, and it's pretty sweet in like Niv Mizzet decks and Historic and Pioneer and stuff. It's lights out in these Bobble decks. It's unbelievable. It's just I love playing with that card too, and I'm gonna continue doing it.
Yeah.
Until it's pulled out of my hands.
So for this weekend, I'm looking at some form of Grixis or 4-color Footfalls.
Yeah.
I also do like the 4-color Creativity deck. I think that's a deck that is malleable. You can tailor the disruption how you want it. Right now they're built with a lot of removal with those Ragavan decks in mind. You can play more counterspells in that deck and be better against Cascade if you want to, better against Tron, and you've got this really good proactive game plan where against anybody you can just turn 4 Emrakul, turn 3 Teferi, turn 4 Emrakul on your end step, let's go.
Yeah.
So that's a deck I like quite a bit.
Yeah, that deck's sweet. That deck's really sweet. I want to try that one out as well. But yeah, I think I would actually lean on the living end if I picked one. I'm not in love with it. I think this one's easier to hate out, surprisingly. And
because of the presence of EE?
Just E is everywhere. I know E is everywhere. I haven't seen like overloaded on lanterns. It's in the spike deck. There's 3 of that. I haven't seen as overloaded and everything else, but I think it's close as well. But I'm with you. I'm playing some Grixis stuff, or I just like the Is It Murktide deck. I think that deck is great too.
It's just another solid deck. You can tune it. Like we're at the point where I don't think your deck choice matters as much as how you build it.
Yeah, and your play, your sideboard slots, and everything's pretty close. And that's just what makes Modern great. You bring out Boomer Jund, you're probably gonna still have a chance up against a lot of these decks if you've geared it the sideboard in the proper ways and stuff. So that's what makes Modern great. But GG's, marbles go to you. Let's thank some subs. We're going to thank some sponsors, and we're going to head out.
No new subs today, but thank you to all of our other current subs.
Yes, thank you for supporting the channel. And if you'd like to support Star City Games in another way, you can join SCG Premium. $7.99 a month will get you access to exclusive content from our wonderful staff of content creators, as well as some other perks, which are 5% off of sealed product, 10% off of singles, and 15% off of supplies. Sign on over to starcitygames.com/join-premium and sign up today.
Absolutely. And it's already that time where it's preview season. We are just weeks away from the first Innistrad set, Innistrad Midnight Hunt. Are you excited? This one's going to be big.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most popular planes of all time.
Yeah.
One of the best sets of all time in original Innistrad.
And
Shadows, not so much.
Not so much, but one of the most popular things right now amongst what players want, and that's to get Lovestruck Beast out of my metagame right now, which will be happening with this set. So if you want to be the first one to pre-order this set, we don't really have too many cards yet, but why not? We're all going to buy some of that set. It's going to be super fun. So you can pre-order this by going to starcitygames.com/previews to check that out.
Yeah, and if you're just chomping at the bit to try to get new cards and you really just want to burn all of your old cards, stop what you're doing. You don't want to burn them.
We'll give you money for them.
Yeah, you can sell them to SCG. They're always buying cards.
They were about to burn them. I could sense it.
I know.
Yeah.
And the process has never been easier because there's so many ways to do it. You can use the buy list feature on the website. You can mail your cards into SCG and let them do the work for you. You can make an appointment and come into the store to do your business in person. And if your collection is big enough, you can make that appointment and have SCG come to you. So pick whichever works best for you. And do always keep in mind that if you're trading your cards in for store credit, you will get a 30% bonus on that trade-in.
Absolutely. And the Star City Games Tour is coming back. It has been back for the last, 3 or 4 weeks or so, and we're going to have the next tournaments starting back up next week. So those satellites are going to be going on. They're Friday, Saturday. To play in those, you go 4-2 or better. You qualify for the Sunday Championship qualifier. 5-1 gets you 1 bye. 6-0 will get you 2 buys, and it'll also get you the invitation to the Roanoke Invitational here during Halloween. That's going to be so much fun. You can also accumulate 30 points throughout the week to get that qualification as well if you want to. Let's say 5-1 twice, something like that, to accumulate that. Going to be standard next week, so if you want to participate, you can go to starcitygames.com/SCG Tour online to get more info.
Yes, the next order of business is our sponsor. We'd like to thank Coalesce Apparel. If you like the shirts that we wear, you can find their entire collection of shirts, hoodies, and stickers at coalesceapparel.shop. And be sure to use the gift code SCG when checking out to get 10% off of your purchase there.
And the last bit of business is our sale. We got to love our sale. You get something cool every week as far as something to be able to buy. This week, it is 20% off all the rotating standard sets. So that's Eldraine, Ikoria, M21, and Theros. 20% off that, and then 10% off the stuff that isn't rotating. So the D&D set, Keldheim, Zendikar, and Strixhaven. So if you want to pick out some cards for standard, either, get some cards that are rotating. They're still going to be good.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Throne of Eldraine
decks or your Pioneer decks.
Or think about it, Throne of Eldraine is probably going to still have some relevancy later on. I don't think the power of that set is completely going away.
I'm just waiting for the emergency announcement that Throne of Eldraine is just permanently in standard. Yeah. Everybody loves it so much. We just don't want to see it go.
Yeah.
It's too entrenched into the format. It's like Brainstorm and Legacy. We just need Throne of Eldraine in standard in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm. They tell us that Versus Live is just Throne of Eldraine standard from now on.
It's actually Throne of Eldraine constructed.
Yes, excuse me. So, just in case that happens, you want to pick up your cards, and we're going to give you a large percentage of off here at Star City Games. So go to starcitygames.com/sale to check out that. And don't forget, the sale does end at 10:59 a.m. on Monday. So get it in this week if you want some standard cards.
Yeah, pick them up while you can. Use them in whatever formats you play. There's a million of them now.
Absolutely.
So that's going to be it for us today.
Yep.
Thursday, as Corey alluded to earlier, we're going to be having a little bit of fun with, I would say, a test of Corey's skill, because he's going to be playing a Wafotapa control deck, and these are legendary for being unpilotable by people who are not Guillaume Wafotapa.
Yeah, I think
Can I see your ID? Because I don't think you are Guillaume Wafotapa.
I don't think I am. Yeah, absolutely. It's Wafotapa and Shota. All the decks, either one of them play, are specifically designed for those incredibly strong control pilots. I'm going to be here just, punting left and right against good decks and seeing if control is good in the metagame again.
I mean, it's really the last thing that we haven't seen emerge since Modern Horizons 2. So we want to see, is this just Wafotapa being a genius, which it very well could be.
Yeah, he took second. He did well.
Took second in the PTQ and first in the challenge the day before.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He changed 4 cards, if you look at his list, and won the challenge, then took second in the PTQ. So he had a great weekend. So we're going to be testing that deck to see if it is
I bet he wish he could switch those results,
I don't know. It's a lot more play points if you win the challenge.
That's true. That is very true. Very good point. So that's going to be our show on Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun. So hope to see you there. That will be at Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So for Rob, Ross Merriam, I'm Corey Baumeister. We'll see you then.